Ladies and gents, boys and girls, Thursday, June the 8th, 2023. Hope you're all doing well. Chris Phillips here, your host of the Daily Crow of the Spurs Up Show. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. I see Travi, John Edward, Brendan M., Stephanie Lee, Xavier, Austin Gregory, who says the BCC is fire. Thank you, Austin. Austin Gregory has also set the Robbie Davis line today at 6 minutes and 10 seconds. If he goes under, I will find something better to do with my life, is what Austin Gregory. We're off to a hot start. Thank you so much, Austin Gregory. Jonathan Lee's also in here. What's going on, Jonathan? Appreciate you tuning in. Also, those who are in the Big Cock Club Discord, head over to the TDC Questions channel, to be sure that your questions are answered there. We got a packed show today here on this Thursday. Of course, in hour number 3, we have our Q&A Power Hour, which I was just thinking, guys, it's so interesting. When I give you guys the schedule, I go backwards, right? I start with hour 3, then hour 2, then we get into hour 1. I don't know why my brain works that way, but hour number 3, we've got the Q&A Power Hour. We'll take your questions, comments, calls. Guys, if you cannot call during that time, be sure to call right now, 843-790-3377, and leave us a voicemail. You can also shoot us a text to that number, or just leave your questions in the YouTube chat, and we'll be sure to get to all of those. Also, guys, of course, in our second hour, it's Thursday. We've got Mark Ryan, known Florida Gator man, who will join us. We'll talk some college baseball, everything in between. Of course, we're going to talk South Carolina, Florida with Mark Ryan. Very excited to get his thoughts on it. I know you guys, hey, make sure you're in here in the second hour of the comments, giving Mark some hell ahead of a huge weekend on the diamond for both of these schools. And of course, guys, got a couple topics we're going to get into. I'm going to break down the Gainesville Super Regional and also keep the top 5 series going. So again, guys, thank y'all so much. Also, developments over the last 24 hours or so. I teased this a bit, but now it is officially official. We will be at Carolina Ale House all weekend long watching the Gamecocks take on the Florida Gators in the Gainesville Super Regional. Head out to your local Carolina Ale House. We will be at the Carolina Ale House on Woodruff Road in Greenville, South Carolina, specifically. So if you're not going to Gainesville, which I feel like is probably the majority of Gamecock fans, all my upstate Gamecocks, come on out to Carolina Ale House, Woodruff Road. We will have the game on every single TV. Of course, the game is being televised nationally on ESPN2, so we'll have the games on there. Also, guys, we're doing some special giveaways for those who are there in person at Carolina Ale House, Woodruff Road. We'll give away some gift cards to Carolina Ale House that you can use at any local Carolina Ale House in the state of South Carolina, and also including the location in Augusta, Georgia. So again, guys, really excited for that. Going to be a great weekend. Of course, first pitch tomorrow set at 6 o'clock, Saturday at 3, Sunday TBD. We will be out there for all 3, hopefully only 2, and South Carolina wins both, of course. But we'll be out there all weekend long watching all the games. I'll probably get there, yours truly, about an hour or so before first pitch. But come on out. Going to be a lot of fun. And again, we always feel the love in Greenville, and I'm sure this weekend will be no different. Also, guys, all of the details are on social media, but it's pretty simple. Tomorrow at 6, Saturday at 3, Sunday TBD, Woodruff Road in Greenville, South Carolina, that Carolina Ale House location. And again, if you're in Columbia, you're in the Low Country, you're up by Charlotte, whatever it might have, you're in Augusta, go to your local Carolina Ale House and watch the Yardcocks take on the Florida Gators. They got specials all weekend long. It is your super regional headquarters for the weekend. So again, guys, hope to hang out with you all this weekend at Carolina Ale House. And with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and dive into it. A ticket to Omaha is on the line as the Gamecocks travel to Gainesville, Florida to take on the number 2 overall seed Florida Gators tomorrow at 6, Saturday at 3, and Sunday a TBD if necessary at Condrone Family Ballpark in Gainesville. Of course, guys, like I mentioned, ESPN2 for both games Friday and Saturday. Sunday is TBD if there is a game 3. Of course, as we all know, the head coach of the Gators, Kevin O'Sullivan, he has guided Florida to a 48-15 record, 20-10 in the SEC. Florida finished up this season as SEC co-champion. So yet another fantastic year in Gainesville. They will look to punch their ticket to Omaha for the first time in I think about 5 years or so. It's been quite a while since Florida has gone to Omaha, but for the Gamecocks, of course, guys, it's been even longer. South Carolina has not made an appearance in Omaha since 2012 when they were playing for the national championship. So it's been over a decade since the Gamecocks have been to the promised land. They will look to try to do that this weekend. Guys, let's break down Florida. They're pitching, they're hitting. In case you forgot, of course, they are fantastic on the bump. A 4.61 overall ERA, 5.33 ERA in conference play. One thing that is different in this series, because, of course, guys, we're going to talk about this. These two teams have already met this season, right? When South Carolina swept Florida in late April. Something that is different about this Gators team, the one South Carolina saw, Brandon Neely, the fantastic reliever, did not pitch in that series. You might recall he was suspended for yelling at the Georgia dugout after a strikeout. It was a very highly scrutinized decision that the SEC made. I'll be honest with you guys, I thought it was soft, but either way, he did not pitch. And that was a big impact because Florida's bullpen, it's already not great, but it was certainly not very good that weekend at Founders Park. He is back. He's 0-2 in the year, but a 3.63 ERA in 28 appearances, 44 2/3 innings pitched, and has 61 strikeouts. Hitters are hitting just 237 against him. So a huge boost to the Gators pitching staff. And their starting rotation, what it's been all year. Tomorrow's game, right-handed pitcher Brandon Sproat will start 7-3 with a 4.70 ERA. Then they'll turn to Saturday, right-handed pitcher Hurston Waldrop, 8-3 with a 4.54 ERA. And then on Sunday, the Golden Spikes Award finalist, the southpaw Jack Caglione, if necessary, will go for the Gators, 7-3 with a 3.78 ERA. Now, what is the pitching strategy? Of course, that's a storyline for both teams. We'll get into that in just a second, but does Jack Caglione come in early? Do we see him pitch on Friday or Saturday if the Gators feel like they've got the series in their clinches, right? South Carolina, kind of same thing, right? How do these two teams, the chess match that is on the mound, going to be really fun to watch. Let's talk Gators hitters going into the weekend. They're hitting 294 overall, 267 in conference play. When you talk players to watch for, guys, I just mentioned him, but Jack Caglione, a Golden Spikes Award finalist. The Gamecocks, I thought, did a really, really good job against him the first go-around when these two teams met back in late April. Even on the bump as well, he gave up 4 earned runs in his start in that Sunday game. But Caglione, the numbers are incredible, man. Hit 337 this year, leads all of college baseball with 31 home runs and 84 RBI on the season. I mean, he is college baseball's version of Shohei Ohtani, for sure. South Carolina's got a great freshman in Ethan Petrie. Florida's got a great freshman in Cade Curlin, another player to watch for, hit 303 this year, 16 homers and 46 RBI. You then look at Wyatt Langford at the top of that lineup. Fantastic player, leads the Gators in average at 387, 18 home runs and 48 RBI on the season. And then finally, Josh Rivera, who, guys, I'll tell you this, if you would have told me 2 years ago, because I was in Founders Park and watched that series, Gamecocks swept the Gators, of course, in that series, and Josh Rivera was a true freshman. Had you told me at that point that Josh Rivera was going to be a 357 hitter in the SEC with double-digit home runs, I would not have believed you, but that's exactly what he did this season. 357, 16 bombs, 65 RBI, and also a speedster on the base pass, 15 of 18 in stolen bases. So, of course, Florida, guys, one of the best teams in all of college baseball. They are the 2 seed for a reason, and it will be a challenge for the Gamecocks, of course, in Gainesville. As we move to the South Carolina side of things, the starting rotation has not been officially announced yet. By the time you're hearing this, it may be, but as of the time of recording, it has not been announced. What we do believe, though, is that we will see James Hicks tomorrow, Jack Mahoney on Saturday, and then a TBA on Sunday if necessary. I think South Carolina, based off what Will Sanders said as well, he mentioned that, hey, Hicks in game 1, Mahoney game 2. So I think they'll stick status quo. But as we talk top storylines and what to watch for this weekend, guys, I got to lead off with this. Is it more surprises in the starting rotation? I sat here a week ago to the date and said, expect the unexpected from Mark Kingston, Justin Parker, that coaching staff when it comes to this starting rotation, and this entire pitching staff and how they use each of the Gamecocks' arms. I sit here today echoing that same exact sentiment, especially, guys, when you look at a series like this. And I think this is a series, guys, that if South Carolina is going to win it, not to spoil my prediction and get into that, but if South Carolina is going to win it, they need to win it in the first 2 games. I think go into a game 3 in Gainesville with Florida's pitching depth and maybe some of your questions in your depth, I think it obviously favors the Gators. So how do they use guys like Will Sanders? How do they use guys like Eli Jones? How do they use Matthew Becker? Like, what is the strategy? And we all know, guys, Mark Kingston, he loves to play the matchups. He loves to play the numbers. He loves to do what the analytics guide him to do. So I would not be surprised at all. I mean, we think it's going to be Hicks-Mahoney games 1 and 2. I would not be surprised at all if when the starting rotation drops, something different happens. And again, just how much do the numbers factor in? Because again, Kingston, very analytical. He loves to side with the matchups. And guys, I would not be surprised if we saw some surprises in the starting rotation and really the entire pitching strategy, if you will, which leads me into this, guys, another big storyline and something we're looking for. And we've been asking the question all week long. How does South Carolina use Will Sanders? His numbers against the Gators speak for themselves. We've been talking about it all week. He has been dominant against Florida. He was dominant in his start against them earlier in the season. He went 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned, 3 walks, 10 strikeouts. By far, I would say his best performance of the 2023 baseball season. How do you use him? Do you start him in a game 3? Do you use him out of the bullpen? Hey, does all of a sudden the starting rotation come out and he's starting games 1 or 2? I think physically, Will Sanders is probably not ready to go out there and throw 70, 80, 90, 100 pitches, what have you. So I don't think you're going to see him start a ball game. And I don't think you save him, quote unquote, for a game 3. I mean, I think this is a 3-game series, no doubt. I think it's got 3-game series written all over it, but I don't think you play that way. Like, you do everything you can to try to take this series in the first 2 games. With that being said, do you use him in a closer role? Is it a long relief role? Like what is the most effective way? Because the one thing you don't want to have happen, of course, is you get through the weekend or you get through 2 games and the series doesn't go your way and you sit there and say, well, Will Sanders did not even pitch, right? Because I think still even at this point, based off what he did in the Columbia Regional, based off the stuff we saw, guys, he's one of your best arms. He's absolutely still, even with his inconsistencies, even with the questions around Will Sanders, he's still one of the best options for the Yardcocks. So how do Mark Kingston, Justin Parker, how do they use Will Sanders? Because I think he can be effective. I think he can be a weapon. Going to be really interesting to see how Will Sanders is utilized by this coaching staff. Something else to watch for, guys, the big storyline. You know, when I look at this series, what's so fun about it? And I was just talking with JB, JC, and Phil and Inside the Gamecocks about there really aren't any backdoor storylines when it comes to this series, right? Let me tell you about a matchup that you don't know about, or let me tell you about a way this team is going to expose this team, this weakness they don't have. Guys, this series is just best on best. I mean, that's really, truly what it is. And whoever wins this series, it'll be because their stars shine the brightest. And I look at guys like Petrie against Caglione. Who of those 2 gentlemen? Hey, the first go-around back in late April, Ethan Petrie, 8 RBI in that 3-game set. Meanwhile, Jack Caglione, just looking back at the numbers, he went 0 for 4 in game 1. He went 2 for 4 in game 2, had the 1 solo shot, but that's it. And then in game 3, he went 1 for 3 with a ribby. So only 2 RBI for Jack Caglione that entire weekend. He only had 3 hits over the weekend. And then also on Sunday when he pitched, the Gamecocks roughed him up. 3 innings pitched, 3 hits, 4 runs, 4 earned, 6 walks in that game. So Ethan Petrie won round 1 against Jack Caglione. Who will it be this time? We talked to the Gators people last night. They say, hey, Jack Caglione, if they're going to win this series, he's got to be at his best. He's had some inconsistencies, as has Ethan Petrie, as does everybody in college baseball. But it's all about best on best this weekend, right? There's no like, well, we're going to expose them for this. They didn't play this competition. No. The best on the best. This is how it's supposed to be to get to Omaha. 2 of the best teams in college baseball, Ethan Petrie, Jack Caglione, 2 of the best players in college baseball. Who wins round 2? and who, more importantly, punches their team's ticket to Omaha. Going to be interesting to see and interesting to watch. Guys, something else that I did not put on my notes, but that was brought up earlier in regards to the offensive attack, and I think something to watch for, a big storyline on this one, is the approach overall. Also, keeping an eye on the umpiring crew. What is the zone like? I think that's going to dictate a lot. Is this a defensive or offensive type of weekend? But just looking back at the numbers in that first series, South Carolina, guys, over 3 games, drew 24 walks as an offense. 24 walks. That's not even including the hit by pitches, which South Carolina had multiple. They drew 24 walks over a 3-game set. Guys, it's hard to not win a series. It's hard to not have a successful weekend offensively when you have that many base runners on the base paths, right? The Gamecocks mixed that, though, with an aggressiveness, and they punished Florida mistakes when they were made. Do we see that yet again? And I'm sure on the Gators side, hey, their number one objective is do not give Carolina any free passes. They're a good enough offense. And the same thing applies to South Carolina when you look at Florida's offense. Hey, they're good enough without our help. But what is the approach? It's just so interesting because these two teams, they have the book on each other. They know each other's tendencies. They know what each other likes to do. They know what makes each other successful. They know what makes each other failed. It's so interesting, this chess match. But South Carolina, offensively, the approach, you started to see some positive things in that Columbia Regional, right? I thought the aggressiveness was back. You saw the power resurgence. You saw the productivity. It looked much more like the lineup that we saw in the first 40 games. How does Florida attack South Carolina? How does South Carolina respond to it? Can they duplicate what we saw in that first 3-game set, which, again, was patience mixed with power, mixed with some productivity? But the patience, I think, is what let it off. Drawing 24 walks, guys, you set yourself up for major success. And it's hard, again, not to have a great weekend when you have that type of traffic on the base pass. So can Carolina exert that patience yet again? Guys, keeping it moving to the big storyline here. Brandon Neely is back for the Gators. As I mentioned earlier, how much of a boost is that for them? Because you look at Florida in that first matchup, yet again, they were not good. Phillip Abner, 3 earned runs. Tyler Nesbitt, 5 runs in that first game. You go to the second game. They were much, much better in the second game, but you were able to hit up Hurst and Waldrop enough to get the W. You then look, Cade Fisher in game 3 gave up 2 earned. Ryan Slater gave up 1 earned, 4 hits. So their bullpen has been the big question mark. And I think that's the case for a lot of college baseball teams because it's really hard to find these reliable bullpen guys. But Florida's has certainly been suspect, and it's an area where I think you can take advantage of. I think it's an area where the Gamecocks had a lot of success, but they did not have to face Brandon Neely. And I know that it's just one guy. I totally get that. But, guys, sometimes, especially in the bullpen, all it takes is one guy. And you're also talking about one guy that could pitch multiple times this weekend. He could go Friday and Sunday. So how does the addition, does that boost the Gators bullpen? Does that push them over the edge? Does that limit South Carolina offensively just enough? And how do the Gamecocks combat that? Guys, there's a big storyline in this one for me, and I think something that really went under the radar during the Columbia Regional. You know, we talked a lot this season about South Carolina defensively and their issues in the field. You know, it's funny. When it comes to defense in baseball and errors, nobody talks about it until errors are being made and the defensive play is not very good, right? It's like an offensive line in football. The only time they get highlighted is when they mess up. But South Carolina, there were inconsistencies in the field. We saw it cost the Gamecocks multiple times this year. And, guys, when you're playing in a series like this, and it's best on best, and it's 2 of the best teams in college baseball, and especially you're on the road, there are little things. You have to do the little things right. You have to be fundamentally sound. South Carolina will not win this series if they are not fundamentally sound. But what went under the radar last weekend, Carolina gets through the Columbia Regional. They did not make a single error. They had great pitching. They had great defense. And guess what, guys? They won all 3 games. And it wasn't all that tough either. So, does the great defensive play continue? Right? You need that consistency. Braylon Wimmer's back at short. That is a positive. Mark Kingston mentioning he may have tweaked the hammy a little bit, but he is good to go. He's fine. Not too worried about it. Cole Messina, got to be a wall back there, right? Guys are going to be spiking some balls. They trust you back there. He's got to be a brick wall. You can't give away free bases. Talmadge Lecroy at the hot corner. Gavin Casas scooping it first. Michael Braswell at second in his range. Outfielders making plays. Defensive play is at a premium this weekend. And again, maybe it's something on a week in, week out basis during the regular season. We don't necessarily focus on that much. But in a series like this, where everything matters, those little things, they are the big things. They are what matters. Hey, we're all talking about power going in the weekend, and both teams have power, and they do. But hey, who plays better bunt defense? Who plays great bunt defense? When it's a close game down the stretch and somebody lays a bunt down, who's making the play? Who's throwing the ball away? Who's making the mistake? That could be the difference in winning and losing. We have seen it before. So does that great defensive play continue in this one? South Carolina is absolutely going to need it. Another big storyline in this one, guys. Revenge-minded Gators. These two teams have met, and South Carolina ran them off the field, literally winning in run rule fashion in that first game by a final score of 13-3. You might recall South Carolina scored 5 runs in the bottom of the 7th inning to win via run rule. Florida remembers that. Florida remembers the sweep in Columbia, and now they get the Gamecocks at their home ballpark, Condrome Ballpark. By the way, this is the first super regional in the history of this ballpark. You know, I think revenge is something that it's used too much. Like, we hear it all the time in football, right? Like, oh, this team beat that team last year. They've got revenge on their mind. Like, if you need the revenge factor to just want to beat somebody, you know, I don't know what to tell you. And especially this weekend. Like, if your blood's not already pumping at a high level, if you're not fired up, I don't know what to tell you going into a weekend like this. But Florida, of course, again, they got that chip on their shoulder. They got revenge on their mind. And as I've mentioned before, it is very hard. And I don't agree necessarily with what J.C. Sherbert said a couple of days ago when, you know, and no knock on J.C., but he said, you know, you kind of almost wish the series sweep didn't happen. I get what he's saying, right? I get what he's saying because, you know, it's like in golf, and I feel like I'm using I'm drawing a lot of comparisons today for whatever reason, but it's like in golf where you hear guys say, I'd rather chase than sleep on the lead. Well, that's kind of what he's saying, right? You almost would have rather lost 2 of 3 and been the doubted versus being the one that Florida, it feels like, is now kind of the doubted because what South Carolina did to them early in the year. So does what happened in that weekend late April, does it play any factor? Because you might recall, these two teams went opposite directions after that. These two teams went completely different directions, right? South Carolina ended up losing every SEC series it had left. Meanwhile, Florida, co-SEC champions. So what did each team learn from that first series? The Gamecocks, they're going to try to take away all the positives from that series and all the things they did well and carry it over. Florida, they burned their playbook. They burned everything that happened. They're going to learn from those mistakes and carry it into this weekend, right? So it's going to be interesting. The chess match between Kevin O'Sullivan and Mark Kingston. And guys, finally, top storyline of what to watch for, the history in Gainesville. And, you know, the history between South Carolina and Florida, it's fascinating. It's fascinating. You can't talk Gamecocks and Gators on the diamond without talking about 2011 and what happened. The last time South Carolina and Florida played in a 3-game set in the postseason, it was the 2011 National Championship Series in which the Gamecocks beat the Gators in 2 games. So there's great history here, and it's one of the reasons we're all so fired up for the weekend, guys. I mean, again, it's best on best. It's 2 of the blue bloods of college baseball, 2 of the best college baseball has to offer. And I think, guys, when you look at the landscape across college baseball, this is probably the top super regional to watch. I think this is must-see TV, absolutely. But South Carolina, guys, in case you missed it, they have not won a series in Gainesville against Florida since 2011. So what does that tell you? I mean, what does that mean? Does it mean anything going to the weekend? Not necessarily, but it is an interesting tidbit, and Omaha is on the line. I am just so curious watching these 2 clubs because somebody's punching their ticket. Somebody's going to Omaha. How do these 2 managers manage? How do they coach? Is there more aggressiveness? Is there more conservativeness, God forbid? How do these players play? Which team is able to stay more composed, more calm, right? South Carolina, I don't think they've got a single guy who's been in this position on the roster. Last super regional for the Gamecocks was 2018. I don't think anybody was on this roster in 2018 who's currently on it right now, right? Is South Carolina able to stay composed, stay confident, stay within themselves, remember what got them to this point, and not try to do too much because, hey, maybe Condrone Ballpark is not Mississippi State. It's not Swayze. It's not Baum. It's not Alex Box. It's not Founders Park. But you know that it'll be jumping. It'll be packed. They'll be fired up. Keeping your composure and just remembering at the end of the day, hey, it's just baseball. This is a 3-game set against an SEC team. We do this every weekend. We literally do this every weekend. There's just a little bit more on the line. So can you combat bad history? And with Omaha on the line, which of these two teams is able to keep their composure? Going to be fun to watch. Guys, let's move to my key player of the weekend. And there are many players you can go with for this. And I think the obvious answer is Ethan Petrie. You look back at that first series, guys, Gamecocks and Gators, Petrie had 8 RBI in that weekend. And the last home run in an SEC series that Ethan Petrie had, it came in that Florida series. Guess what, guys? He didn't have one the rest of the way, and guess what happened? They didn't win an SEC series after that. So it's pretty simple math in my mind. On weekends in SEC play, when Ethan Petrie hits a homer, Gamecocks win. On weekends in SEC play, when he doesn't hit a homer, Gamecocks don't win. It's pretty simple, right? It's pretty simple. So I think you could go Ethan Petrie. However, I think Florida is going to come into this weekend with the mindset of we cannot let this guy beat us. Like if we lose, fine. But we ain't letting Ethan Petrie beat us. So I think they're going to have a game plan. I mean, they're going to have to pitch to him. You can't just intentionally walk him every time. He's going to come up with runners on base. You've got to find a way to get him out. Same thing with Jack Caglione on the Florida side, which I thought the Gamecocks did a great job with him first go around. But you got to pitch to that guy. You just can't pitch around him the entire game. And I'm sure South Carolina, they'll have a plan for him as well. So you look at some other guys, Cole Messina, heart and soul, the leader of this team. Braylon Wimmer, a glue guy. You can even look at a guy like Michael Braswell, who's been clutch. Talmadge Lecroy, who was very good in the Columbia Regional. But for me, guys, my key player for the weekend, and the reason being, he is a veteran presence. He's been on this stage with Southern Miss a season ago. And honestly, I don't think I realized how much that I personally miss seeing this guy at the top of the lineup, because there was an immediate increase in my confidence in South Carolina offensively. Even if he's not going 5 for 5 every game, just having him at the top, I feel like it's a game changer for the Yardcocks. Of course, my key player of the weekend, Will McGillis. And again, I think they've got the book on him when it comes to the slider outside. He was struggling with that pitch. But having him back in this lineup, to me, guys, it was just night and day. It was night and day difference to have a proven commodity, to have a dude who is lethal with a stick, was one of the best hitters on South Carolina's team when he went out with an injury, missed most of the year. He comes back in the Columbia Regional, hits a bomb. I mean, this is a dude that at the top, he is the tone setter. And like I said, when his return, just seeing McGillis, seeing Sixpack back out there, my overall confidence in South Carolina offensively, it just skyrocketed. It absolutely just skyrocketed. And again, I think his return is big. And I think he's a dude that needs to set the tone for this weekend, for this ball club in each individual game. Will McGillis, my key player of the weekend. And again, guys, of course, there's many. There are many guys that are your key players. Will Sanders is a key player, sort of an X factor. All of your starting rotation, Ethan Petrie, Cole Messina. But for me, having Will McGillis back in the lineup, it is such a game changer for South Carolina, which leads me into my prediction. Guys, this is how it's supposed to be. This is how, for a trip to Omaha, this is how it's supposed to be. Best on best, SEC versus SEC, the best conference in all of college baseball, and two of the best from that conference. And this has turned into, Carolina, Florida, man, I wouldn't say it's a rivalry like traditionally. It's not like a traditional rivalry, but it's turned into a fun little rivalry with the Gamecocks and Gators, right? JC mentioned it earlier in the week, and we've talked about it, the historical context of South Carolina playing Florida in the postseason, from baseball to basketball to, things being on the line in football to get to the SEC championship. I mean, it's crazy how the paths of these two schools cross so much. Also, the fact that South Carolina had two former Florida coaches, their head coach. It's wild how the paths of these two seem to always cross. But it's best on best this weekend in Gainesville, a place the Gamecocks have not won a series since 2011. Again, you look back at that first weekend, right? April 20th, 21st, and 22nd. And at that point, guys, South Carolina, let me read off the record, by the way. At that point, South Carolina going into, or after the weekend concluded, That's the point. They were 34-6 and 13-4 in SEC play. Florida finished up 31-10, 11-7 in the SEC after that weekend. As we mentioned, the two teams went completely different directions. Literally, Florida went 9-3 in their final 12 SEC games. The Gamecocks went 3-9 in their final 12 SEC games, right? But you think about what made South Carolina successful. And, of course, that series at Founders Park, a place the Gamecocks love to swing it. What made Carolina successful? Well, first you look offensively. Ethan Petrie, 8 RBI. I mentioned, though, guys, 24 walks drawn, right? And you had success. You know, we talk a lot about that Gators starting rotation. Oh, by the way, I picked the Gamecocks to win 2 of 3 in that series. I look back at it. So, of course, I was quote-unquote wrong because I didn't pick the sweep. But I did pick Carolina to take that series from Florida. But, I mean, we talk about how good this starting rotation is. Hell, they tagged Sproat for 4 earned runs. They tagged Waldrop for 5 earned runs. And they tagged Caglione for 4 earned runs. So, South Carolina had success against that starting rotation. And the bullpen, obviously, for the Gators was not very good all weekend long. Right? So, offensively, as I mentioned earlier, there was a mix of patience, power, but also productivity. On the bump, things looked much differently in the starting rotation. Will Sanders had his best outing of the season in Game 1. 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned, 3 walks, 10 strikeouts. Then Jack Mahoney dominated in Game 2. 5 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned, 3 walks, 3 Ks. And then finally, guys, hey, this will tell you how long ago this was. Matthew Becker shoved. It feels like I haven't said that in quite a while. 5 innings pitched, 2 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned, 1 walk, and 6 strikeouts. Eli Jones came in relief in Game 2, and James Hicks came in relief in Game 3. And so when I look at this series, guys, for me, it's truly a coin flip. I look at this like I was asked earlier in the week, who do you favor, right? I'm like 51-49, like truly. I think it is a coin flip type of series, and this is how it's supposed to be. 2 of the best in college baseball, best on best. There is no secret storyline here. There is no backdoor type of, let me tell you about this, whatever. This is just, there are stars on the Florida side. There are stars on the South Carolina side. Whose stars executed a higher level all weekend? Whose stars execute? That's what it comes down to. Both of these teams are Omaha caliber, but only one can go. I think that series sweep gives South Carolina a lot of confidence going into this weekend. I think it gives them a ton of confidence, right? This is a team you've already beaten. With that being said, because the series is in Gainesville, we know how big of a deal it is to play at home versus on the road. We have seen it all season, right? South Carolina went 2-7 in their final 9 SEC road contests. And guys, they scored 5 runs or less in half of those games. South Carolina was not good down the stretch on the road. It's one of the reasons I felt so confident going into Columbia Regional, because it was in Columbia. It was at Founders. And this team loves to play at home. That being said, the series in Gainesville, it is so difficult to beat a team 5 times in a season, right? I mean, if you take this series from Florida and you advance, and this sort of goes without saying, but if you go 5-1 or 5-0 against Florida, there will have been no doubt. There will be no doubt at weekend's end, you were just the superior ball club to Florida this season. And they can't say a word to you. It was earned in every sense of the word. But series in Gainesville, hard to beat a team 5 times. And guys, on the field, I like Florida's pitching depth more than I like South Carolina's. South Carolina's is still very good, but I think Florida's is superior. I think they've got more big-time arms to trot out there. I think South Carolina, dare I say, it's a little bit fragile in the pitching staff. We've seen this pitching staff throw it very well, and I'm not worried about the hitting, guys. I think the hitting is going to be there. If Ethan Petrie is not the Ethan Petrie we saw the first go-around against the Gators, who's going to be the guy that steps up? I think that's the big question. Is it going to be Cole Messina? Is it going to be Wimmer? Is it going to be McGillis? Is it going to be Braswell? Is it going to be somebody else? But this pitching staff, because great pitching this time of year is, guess what, guys? Great pitching and great defense. That's what wins this time of year. And I think Florida right now has just got more of it. They've got 3 legitimate dudes. I get what the Gamecocks did to them the first go around, but on their home rubber, they've got 3 legitimate first rounders on the bump. They've got Brandon Neely back, which I think is a huge boost to that pitching staff, something they did not have the first go around. And so I think South Carolina, this is a series that's got 3 games written all over it. This is going to be back and forth. And guys, I'll tell you this, one of my keys to the weekend, I don't give keys, right? Because it's swing it well, get elite pitching, play great defense, timely hitting, you win the series. They're pretty simple keys in baseball. But for me, South Carolina does not win this series if they don't win game 1. I just don't see it. And I think the Gamecocks will win game 1, which is a bold statement, seeing as I don't know who the hell we're pitching yet. I think the Gamecocks, though, we're going to take game 1. I think, unfortunately, this gets to a game 3, and I think a game 3 favors Florida at home. Jack Caglione on the bump again. He's been inconsistent, but South Carolina is literally TBA, guys. So give me Jack Caglione over the unknown of what South Carolina has, and at that point, what does the pitching look like? Who do you have available at that point? I just think Florida's got a little more, just a little more. Now, I will say this, something I'm not factoring in because it's hard to predict it, right? It's hard to hope isn't a strategy, right? It's hard to lean on this. But the intangibles and the baseball gods, if you will. South Carolina is good enough to beat Florida without the stars aligning. But as we all know, this time of year, things that go beyond comprehension seem to take place. I mean, look back at Carolina, Florida in 2011. It speaks for itself. Who gets those breaks? Who has Uncle Mo in their dugout? Who do the baseball gods smile on this weekend? That could go a long way as well. But unfortunately, again, that's not a reasoning to pick a ball club to win or lose a game. That being said, guys, my prediction, it's already out there, but I'll give it to you. I got Gators advancing. I think they take the series. I think it's a 3-game set. I think this weekend's got 3 games written all over it. But right now, I just like what Florida has on the bump more than I like what South Carolina has. Gators also, again, a fantastic offense up and down the lineup. Gamecocks as well. But I think pitching is actually going to rule the weekend. I think Florida's just got a little bit more of it. And again, like I said, guys, it's just really hard to beat a team 5 times. It's just really tough. And on their home field, I think Florida will get the job done. I think they punch their ticket. I think South Carolina will come up just 1 win short of their quest to Omaha. So lock me in. I've got Gators advancing to Omaha, Yardcocks coming up just short in a thrilling 3-game series in Gainesville. Guys, that being said, let's go ahead and jump into our first break of the day. On the other side, I want to keep the conversation rolling here on this Thursday, June the 8th. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. Attention all Gamecock seafood lovers. Are you tired of searching for the freshest seafood in town? Look no further than the Carolina Fish Market, your go-to destination for the finest and most flavorful seafood in the Carolinas and beyond. Introducing the new Carolina Seafood Subscription Box, a culinary delight delivered right to your doorstep. Each month, you'll receive a carefully curated selection of fresh local seafood sourced directly from the waters of the Carolinas and beyond. From succulent shrimp to mouth-watering grouper to flounder or tuna and everything in between, their subscription box brings the ocean's bounty straight to your Gamecock kitchen. What sets the Carolina Fish Market apart is their commitment to quality and sustainability. They work closely with local fishermen and women who use responsible fishing practices, ensuring that every bite you take supports both your taste buds and our precious marine ecosystems. They've even won Best Seafood 5 out of the last 8 years. But that's not all. They're offering free shipping to all TSUS listeners on every Carolina Seafood subscription box, making it even easier for you to indulge in the flavors of the coast. Experience the convenience and joy of having fresh seafood delivered right to your door without any of the hassle. Don't miss on this incredible opportunity to elevate your culinary adventures with the Carolina Fish Market's Carolina Seafood Subscription Box. Join the seafood enthusiasts across the nation who are savoring the taste of the Carolinas, one delectable bite at a time, and just in time for Father's Day. Visit their website today at carolinafishmarket.com. That's carolinafishmarket.com, and embark on a seafood journey like no other. Freshness, flavor, and convenience await you. Order your Carolina Seafood Subscription Box now and use the promo code SPURSUP, that's SPURSUP, for $10 off your first purchase. Again, that's promo code SPURSUP, SPURSUP, for $10 off your first purchase. The Carolina Fish Market, where taste meets the ocean.
Muscle Dougie, ho.
All right, guys, we're back here on this Thursday, June the 8th, 2023. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Continue to flood the voicemail line, guys. We will take all of your questions, your comments, and your calls. If you cannot call in the third hour in our power hour, leave that voicemail, and we will air it at the start of the power hour. Also, continue to flood the YouTube chat, guys. I really do appreciate you all, of course, in the second hour as well. We got our good friend, Mark Ryan, who is joining the show. We might even get him on early. I know Mark is going to be out today, I believe. I think they're going to be live on location at the BMW Pro-Am thing in Greenville at Thornblade. So really exciting show and stuff lined up for him. So we'll get Mark in the second hour, of course, at some point. But really excited, guys. Exciting day for sure. And we're going to switch the conversation now from baseball to football, because as you all know, of course, our top 5 series rolls on today's show. I'm talking the top 5 head coaches to ever grace the sidelines at South Carolina. And maybe, just maybe, let me start by saying this. I feel confident in saying that Shane Beamer will one day be on this list. I know there's some Gamecocks out there that love Shane Beamer so much that They may throw him on the list already. Let's let his tenure play out. Let's let it finish up. But I do feel confident in saying that Shane Beamer will crack this top 5 list before it's all said and done. That being said, let's get into it. My top 5 head coaches in South Carolina football history, starting at number 5. And let me start off by saying this, and this is not me trying to take a shot at any of these first 2 guys, but it's really crazy. Like, when you look at the numbers, I think it just goes to show you maybe the lack of history that South Carolina football has, because the records for these first couple of guys, it's I guess it's just somewhat surprising, if you will, especially at number 4. But at number 5, he coached the Gamecocks from 1975 to 1981. He accumulated a 45-36-1 record, and he brought the Gamecocks to 3 bowl games: the Tangerine Bowl in 1975, the Hall of Fame Classic in 1979, and the Gator Bowl in 1980. He also led South Carolina to back-to-back 8-4 seasons in 1979 and 1980. Excuse me, guys. Coming in at number 5 on my list, Jim Carlin, who, again, those back-to-back 8-4 seasons at that point were some of the best in school history. He served as the head coach at Texas Tech, West Virginia, and was also at Georgia Tech before that as well. Played his football at Georgia Tech. But 1975 to 1981, 45-36-1 record, number 5 on our list, and guided the Gamecocks, by the way, when they were independent. So you think about the factor of that. Gamecocks were not in a conference. They were in between ACC, SEC, what have you. 75-81, 45-36-1 overall. Number 5 on our list, Jim Carlin. Coming in at number 4 on our list, and what makes this coach so unique is he had 2 separate stints at South Carolina, coming in 1938 to 1942, and then again 1946 to 1955. So he actually took South Carolina from the Southern Conference to the ACC. He accumulated a total record of 64, 69, and 7, and also had a 36, 43, and 3 record. Admittedly, guys, I was hesitant to put this man at number 4 just because of the fact that he has a losing record, but the longevity of the career, and at one point, he was the all-time wins leader at South Carolina. That was a record, guys, that stood from 1955 all the way until 2013, 2014, whenever it happened. Number 4 on our list, Rex Enright, born March 19th, 1901, from Rockford, Illinois. His entire coaching career outside of 1 year, 1943, he coached the Georgia Pre-Flight Skycrackers. I don't know who that is, but he coached at Georgia Pre-Flight and it was actually a Navy pre-flight aviation training school at the University of Georgia in the 1943 season. He went 5-1 there, by the way. But Rex Enright also, guys, if you look at his personal life, the reason he stepped away from coaching, he served in the military and fought in World War II and joined the United States Navy as a lieutenant, worked in their athletics program, if you will, completed his service in the Navy in 1946, and then returned as Gamecocks head coach. He also, by the way, hired his own successor, Warren Geese, who was also the athletic director. There's also the Rex Enright Athletic Center on the South Carolina campus that was named for him. There's also the Rex Enright Award given to the football captains of the previous season. And he was also considered one of the ringleaders in the formation of the ACC in 1953. So again, number 4 on our list with a total record of 64, 69-7, 36, 43, and 3, and was the wins record holder for over 50 years. Steve Spurrier passed him in 2011. Number 4 on our list, Rex Enright. Coming in at number 3 on our list. And while his record may not be the most glamorous of the top 5 on this list, this man, in my opinion, really started the revolution of South Carolina football. I mean, without this man, Gamecocks football would not be where it is today. It would not have gotten to the heights it gotten under Steve Spurrier. He went 33-37, 19-29 in SEC play, but more importantly, he had the greatest turnaround in college football history, taking the Gamecocks from 0-11 and 0-8 in 1999 to 8-4 and 5-3 in 2000 and winning the Outback Bowl over Ohio State. And he did that in back-to-back years, by the way. A 9-3 record and 5-3 in the SEC yet again in 2001, taking down Ohio State again. At number 3 on our list, Lou Holtz, and one of the all-time coaching legends, guys. When you look at what he did at Notre Dame, also served at Minnesota. He was at Arkansas. He was at NC State. He was at William and Mary. But his experience with the Gamecocks, and again, he was the first, guys, that came in and began that culture change, right? Of, hey, we can win here. We can win at the University of South Carolina. And I've talked to people that, have supported Gamecocks football for years, and I mean years and years and years, and they still talk about the day that Lou Holtz got hired and how it was a surreal experience and something that you could have just never seen coming and never expected as a fan of the Gamecocks. You also have to think the context of when this was, right? 1998, Brad Scott gets fired. Gamecocks go 1-10, guys. Lou Holtz picked up a program that was in the middle of a 10-game losing streak, and he endured a 21-game losing streak. I mean, you think about where Carolina football is now, a 21-game losing streak is unfathomable. It's truly unfathomable. But it was the reality of South Carolina football at that point. And without Lou Holtz's influence, without Lou Holtz, South Carolina doesn't get Steve Spurrier. South Carolina does not get the man who really picked up what Lou Holtz did and took the next step with it. But without Lou Holtz, there isn't the growth of Gamecocks football. Without Lou Holtz, the culture change does not begin. The one that made South Carolina fans believe, hey, we can win, and we can win at a high level. Number 3 on our list, Lou Holtz. Coming in at number 2, and if it were not for his tragic passing in 1989, February of 89, he passed. If it were not for his tragic passing, I think there's a good chance we're talking about this man as the best coach in school history. He led South Carolina to a 39-28-2 record, 3 bowl game appearances, the Gator Bowl in 1984, the Gator Bowl again in 1987, and the Liberty Bowl, the Liberty Bowl in 1988. He also, of course, most notably, led the Gamecocks to the Black Magic season in 1984, which, if not for a loss to Navy at the end of the year, South Carolina would have been in the national championship. And it still, I think, to this day, has been their best chance ever to be in a national championship game. The Gamecocks, of course, went 10-2 that year. I think he led South Carolina to their first ever 10-win season in that season. And that stood for a while. Carolina did not win double-digit games again until the HBC came to town. Gamecocks went 8-4 back-to-back in 87 and 88. And Carolina football looked to be on the rise under Joe Morrison's tutelage. He was also known for being the man in black and chewing Red Man on the sidelines and drinking Budweiser. Just a good old boy coaching Carolina football. And it's a shame that his passing really halted and undid and just put to a stop the great things he was doing in South Carolina and for the Gamecocks. Gone too soon, and at number 2 on our list of the greatest head coaches to ever grace the sideline in Columbia, Joe Morrison. Also, you think about his impact. When they introduced 2001, he was a big proponent in that. When they introduced 2001, the entrance we all know and love to this day. And again, like I mentioned, after going 8-4 back-to-back in 87 and 88, you wonder to yourself just what might have been, man? What might have been? What could Joe Morrison have done in Columbia had his tragic passing not taken place? So number 2 on my list, the late, great Joe Morrison, which brings us to number 1, and there's not even a debate. No matter how you feel about the end of his tenure, no matter what grudge you may hold, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm here to tell you there has never been one better to do it than that of Steve Spurrier. 86-49 overall record, 44-40 SEC record. He led the Gamecocks. Let's count it off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 bowl game appearances. 5 of those, which were W's. Excuse me, I'm actually wrong. Yes, no, 5 of those. 5 of those were W's. 5-4 in bowl games. He won his last 4 consecutive bowl games, right? Took a South Carolina program that was coming off the brawl. Lou Holtz didn't get to go to a bowl game. He surpassed expectations immediately in year 1, taking the Gamecocks to a 7-5 overall record, 5-3 in SEC play, tied for second in the SEC East. He beat Tennessee in Knoxville in his first year. Never had been done, was a house of horrors. He beat Florida for the first time in his first season. First time it had happened since the 30s. Then as his tenure evolved and played out, South Carolina waddled in the 6-8 win range. Won a bowl game in his second year, by the way. Won the Liberty Bowl over Houston in a classic. Went 8-5 in that season. South Carolina then went 6-6, 7-6, and 7-6 over the next 3 years, 2007, 2008, 2009. And it made Gamecock fans wonder, damn, has Steve Spurrier lost it? Does this guy not really have what it takes? But the work was being put in behind the scenes. And lo and behold, South Carolina, that 2007 class, we now look back as the one that changed everything for the Gamecocks. Gamecocks went 7-6 in 2009, but the end of that season, beating Clemson as well, which, by the way, he beat Clemson in his second season in 2006 in an absolute classic. But the end of that 2009 season, trouncing Clemson the way you did, right? After a frustrating 2008, I was there in 2008. It was cold, it was rainy, and that was probably the worst performance I've ever seen from a South Carolina quarterback, what Chris Smelley did that day. Either way, it was a frustrating game. Who can forget Ron Morris asking Steve Spurrier, peppering him with questions in postgame? Steve, what's going on? What's happening? And a visibly frustrated Spurrier said, I don't know. What do you want me to say? We can't beat these guys right now. And at that point, really, truly, there was doubt creeping in about Steve Spurrier and his tenure at Carolina. Could he get it done in Columbia? Also, the adversity in 2009, the PapaJohns.com Bowl. I won't even go any further because you all know there's no point in talking about that. One of the worst days in school history. Then 2010 happened. South Carolina goes 9-5, 5-3 in the SEC. They win the SEC East. First time in school history get to the SEC championship game. Did not go the way the Gamecocks wanted, but that was the point, the win over Alabama, where things really started to change in Columbia. It was then followed by the first 11-win season in school history in 2011. 11-2, 6-2 in the SEC. South Carolina wins the Capital One Bowl. Then 2012, 11-2 again, 6-2, third in the East, won the Outback Bowl. Then in 2013, the exact same thing takes place, 11-2, 6-2, second in the East, and won the Capital One Bowl again. For 3 straight seasons, South Carolina was dominant on a national scale. Not a local scale, a national scale. And oh, by the way, they were whooping the asses of the Clemson Tigers for 5 consecutive games during that time as well. South Carolina fell off in 2014, 7-6, 3-5, but hey, won the Independence Bowl for Miami. 4 straight bowl wins for a program that didn't get their first bowl win until 1995. His tenure did not end the way that we all hoped it would in 2015. 2-4, 0-4 in SEC play, and of course, his abrupt departure and retirement. But folks, there is no doubt, there is no debate. The reason that Shane Beamer, as I've mentioned before, the reason Shane Beamer is able to walk in a room and tell you that South Carolina can win an SEC championship and not get laughed out of that room is because of what Steve Spurrier did. Because before Steve Spurrier, getting to a bowl game was like winning the Super Bowl. And Steve Spurrier changed those expectations completely. He shattered those expectations. He changed South Carolina football forever. At 86 wins, he is the winningest coach in school history, and there is no debate. Also left Carolina with a 6-4 record over the arch rival. There is, simply put, folks, no matter what way you want to slice it, there is no debate. Steve Spurrier, number one on this list, and he is by far, in my opinion, the greatest coach in South Carolina football history. So again, my top 5 head coaches to grace the sidelines in Columbia. At number 5, Jim Carlin. Number 4, Rex Enright. Number 3, Lou Holtz. Number 2, Joe Morrison. And at number 1, Steve Spurrier. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, I feel confident. I feel very confident that Shane Beamer can and will be on this top 5 list when it's all said and done. I think what Shane Beamer's doing, also what he learned under Steve Spurrier, being on that 2010 staff, I think there's no reason why to think that Shane Beamer cannot and will not bring South Carolina football to such a level that he will be considered one of the greatest coaches in school history. So again, Jim Carlin at 5, Rex Enright at 4, Lou Holtz at 3, Joe Morrison at number 2, and Steve Spurrier at number 1. Guys, that being said, let's jump into a quick break. On the other side, we're going to get my good friend Mark Ryan on the show for his weekly conversation. Really excited to chat with Mark. All that and more on the side, guys. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. Attention all Gamecocks seafood lovers. Are you tired of searching for the freshest seafood in town? Look no further than the Carolina Fish Market, your go-to destination for the finest and most flavorful seafood in the Carolinas and beyond. Introducing the new Carolina Seafood Subscription Box, a culinary delight delivered right to your doorstep. Each month, you'll receive a carefully curated selection of fresh local seafood sourced directly from the waters of the Carolinas and beyond. From succulent shrimp to mouth-watering grouper to flounder or tuna and everything in between, their subscription box brings the ocean's bounty straight to your Gamecock kitchen. What sets the Carolina Fish Market apart is their commitment to quality and sustainability. They work closely with local fishermen and women who use responsible fishing practices, ensuring that every bite you take supports both your taste buds and our precious marine ecosystems. They've even won Best Seafood 5 out of the last 8 years. But that's not all. They're offering free shipping to all TSUS listeners on every Carolina Seafood subscription box, making it even easier for you to indulge in the flavors of the coast. Experience the convenience and joy of having fresh seafood delivered right to your door without any of the hassle. Don't miss on this incredible opportunity to elevate your culinary adventures with the Carolina Fish Market's Carolina Seafood Subscription Box. Join the seafood enthusiasts across the nation who are savoring the taste of the Carolinas, one delectable bite at a time, and just in time for Father's Day. Visit their website today at carolinafishmarket.com. That's carolinafishmarket.com, and embark on a seafood journey like no other. Freshness, flavor, and convenience await you. Order your Carolina Seafood subscription box now and use the promo code SPURSUP, that's SPURSUP, for $10 off your first purchase. Again, that's promo code SPURSUP, SPURSUP, for $10 off your first purchase. The Carolina Fish Market, where taste meets the ocean.
Marshall Dougie, ho.
Our guys are back here on this Thursday, June the 8th, 2023. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. As I mentioned, hour number 2, it's Thursday. Mark Ryan joins us once again, Offsides with Mark Ryan. He joins us a bit early today because he's headed out to Thornblade for the BMW Pro-Am. Feels good to be good, doesn't it, Mark? What's going on, my friend?
Oh, my man. It's great to be on with you guys. Always do appreciate you. Chris, there's an outside shot. We might be able to have Ken Griffey Jr. on the show today. Boomer, otherwise known as David Wells, is set to be joining us on the show today. If you could ask Ken Griffey Jr. or Boomer David Wells one thing, what would it be? Boomer pitched a perfect game for the X.
Yeah, I mean, I guess just like for a perfect game, it's just like what's going through your mind at that point. Like when everybody's obviously leaving you alone and you know what's going on. Bro, Ken Griffey Jr., the kid, man, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Did that swing come naturally? Is that something he worked on? Because I think he's probably got one of the smoothest swings in baseball history. I don't even know where I begin with a guy like that, man. It's just so much to pick his brain about.
I'll tell you guys something, man. So the way that it works for me with interviews, guys, is that I usually don't really get nervous when I'm interviewing athletes. Mm-hmm. I get nervous when I'm interviewing the very top people in our field. You know, so if we had like Bob Costas on the show or, Mike Greenberg or somebody like that, that's when I'm nervous because it would crush me if any of the top guys in our business are like, this guy sucks. You know what I mean? That would crush me. I think there's an exception there, Chris, with Ken Griffey Jr., because brother, that guy was like my childhood idol. Mm. You know, I remember buying boxes of Don Russ baseball cards when I was like 9. So I could try to get the Ken Griffey Jr. rookie cards. So it's one of the perks of the business, man. We get to have some amazing conversations, and we'll be out there today. We look forward to do it today. Incidentally, Chris, I got a beeping sensor behind me. So if ever you hear that in the interview, just realize every time it beeps, Florida just scored another run on the Gamecocks, okay?
What a great segue into what's a huge weekend, Mark. Obviously, South Carolina, Florida for the opportunity to go to Omaha. Somebody's going to punch their ticket and somebody's going to go home. And what's so interesting, Mark, about this, and I'm not sure any other super regional can say that or say this, which I would say this is the super regional of the weekend. But these two teams have met before, obviously in Founders Park just a couple of months ago or so, late April, and the Gamecocks had their way with Florida. I know, Mark, admittedly, and you've admitted you're not like a diehard baseball guy. But if there's any time to start paying attention, of course, I know you have been of late, of course, but this is the time, man. Best on best. I mean, this is how you want it to be. Two of the best teams in all of college baseball from the SEC going at it. And I know there's a chip on the shoulder of the Florida folks to get revenge for what happened late in season. There's a chip on the shoulder of the Gamecock folks to, Florida ended South Carolina season last year, and both of these teams have had sort of an Omaha drought. I know it's been a couple of years for Florida, and it's been over a decade for South Carolina. So saying all that, Mark, just what you're looking forward to, I think it's going to set up for a fantastic weekend of baseball in Gainesville.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Chris, you actually said something on my show on Monday that I don't know that I agree with. You said, man, it's tough to beat a team 5 times. I just beat Florida, scored again. No, I'm just kidding. And I believe, Chris, that it's that's something that sounds right when you say it. It's tough to beat a team 5 times, but you swept the Gators, right? Like it's going to be harder for the Gators to figure out a way to beat the Gamecocks than it is for the Gamecocks just to continue doing what they've already done. The Gamecocks are healthy right now. They seem to have found themselves. I was actually floored that they were able to flip a switch the way that they have. And in terms of sports, Chris, can you flip a switch? Can you not flip a switch? Well, a year ago, the Golden State Warriors flipped a switch, won the NBA championship. They tried to do the same thing this year. It didn't work. The Gamecocks got to this point where they're banged up and now they're getting everybody back. And do we have it in us to flip a switch and to suddenly be great? And they were that in their regional. Now, you guys know how I feel about who should have been hosting the regional, yada, yada, yada. That's all water under the bridge. Once it was announced that it was going to be the Gamecocks, you guys can rewind the tape. I said right here, I think South Carolina wins that regional at home. I am having the hardest time picking who is going to win this super regional, Chris. Like I've looked at the numbers. I understand that, Florida had the better SEC record. Florida had the best seed out of the SEC for college baseball. I also remember what I saw with my own eyes, which is Florida receiving a prostate exam at Founders Park in April. And now that team is very much back together again. So how much of a difference is home field advantage, right? We know that Founders Park could be the best home field advantage in the country. Can the Gators replicate that? And how much was Florida's confidence affected by coming to Founders Park and really getting depantsed in that series?
I think you bring up an interesting point, Mark, obviously with where the game's being played. And, I think I agree with you. I think it's a 50-50 shot in this series. It's tough to make a prediction because, again, we were talking a little bit earlier, Mark. It's like there aren't really like any backdoor storylines in this one or like, oh, here's something that, here's a weakness the other team can expose. It's just this weekend, man, is nothing short of just best on best. Florida's got stars. South Carolina's got stars. And it's whose stars shine brightest that's going to be the team that punches their ticket to Omaha. Also, I think the intangibles in this one, Mark, it's something you can't really predict, but I'm sure, you recall. It's interesting. The Gamecocks and Gators have crossed paths a lot in the postseason, and South Carolina, especially on the diamond, it just seemed like things beyond comprehension have taken place that have gone in the Gamecocks' favor and sort of pushed them over the edge and giving them the victory. And it's, I'd ask you this, Mark, do you feel like Carolina, Florida's becoming kind of a low-key, nice little rivalry? I mean, I know it's not one of the traditional rivalries, obviously, but like these two programs just seem to cross paths a whole lot. And when you factor in Carolina hired two former Florida coaches, and I don't know, there just seemed to be a lot of like weird crossing of paths between these two schools.
Chris, when you're in my shoes, there's nothing low-key about the rivalry, okay? Right. There's nothing low-key about it. If South Carolina wins, I'm going to be hearing about it from you. I'm going to be getting all sorts of messages from Gamecock faithful. If Florida wins, I'm going to receive nothing, okay? So if Florida wins, there's not going to be a single congratulations. You guys were the better team. But if the Gamecocks win, my mentions are going to be absolutely exploding. Let's see here. Lynn Turner says, Mark, I guess your sensor is going to stop beeping here any second because Florida's not going to be scoring. That's great. Ryan Sandberg was her guy. Ryan Sandberg, man. Blast from the past name there, man. Probably, Chris, a little bit before your time, Ryan Sandberg. Was Ryan Sandberg before your time?
It was before my time, yes.
During your time?
Well, Griffey, the only Griffey that I caught was Griffey in Cincinnati. I was too young to really recognize what was going on. So, I was just a kid when Griffey was in Seattle. So I didn't really, unfortunately, the only Griffey I got to really experience was the Ken Griffey Jr. baseball game and his injury-riddled time in Cincinnati. Unfortunately, that was kind of the extent of what I got of Griffey.
Yeah, that's right, man. So let me ask you this question, okay? I'm looking for an honest response that I don't know I'm going to get from anyone on this show, Chris, except you, okay? Here is the choice, okay? I want you to rewind the clock back to November 1st, okay? November 1st. And I can tell you, Chris, that you can have either a win over the Florida Gators in the swamp in football, okay? You didn't know it yet, but that win would have resulted in the Gamecocks finishing 9-3 in year 2 under Shane Beamer, with wins still to come. I mean, imagine the momentum. You win at Florida, you beat Tennessee, and then you win at Clemson. Or you can have what happened at Florida, which was a murdering, by the way. Okay, you can have what happened in the swamp. I'm surprised there was a single Gamecock player that was alive after that one finished. You can have that L and you win the Super Regional. If you guys listening right now, you can have one or the other, but not both.
I saw you bring this up. Go ahead.
It's human nature for people to say, I'll take the Super Regional, because you've already worn the L and you've already recovered from that loss, right? But I want you to go back to November 1st, and you can have one or the other. The Gator win in football or the Super Regional win right now. It's regular season football versus postseason baseball. Chris, what do you say? What is your
And
answer,
so, Mark,
and what would be the answer of Gamecock Nation?
yeah, and so I'll say this, Mark. Like I know the direction that you. I don't know if you want me to go, but I'm picking up what you're putting down, as they say. You have to recall when you're talking to me, you're talking to a diehard baseball fan. So basically, what you're asking me is this, because I don't disagree with you that at that point in early November, if you beat Florida, the way it changes your season. Also, though, if you take me back to November 1st, I don't know that Carolina's going to beat Tennessee and Clemson. So I'll say this, though. This is the way I view it. Regular season win over Florida or a ticket to Omaha. I would still take the ticket to Omaha, Mark. I would. Now, football's king.
No
Dude,
way.
a regular season win over Florida, or it doesn't even matter if Florida was the super regional opponent, a ticket to Omaha. Mark, there's no comparison in those two things. If it was a win over Florida to go to the SEC championship, well, I'd take the football thing for sure. But that win over Florida, as great as it would have been and would have saved us all embarrassment, even if Carolina finishes 9-3, Mark, like, I mean, that does not outweigh one more regular season win, does not outweigh a trip to Omaha to compete for the national championship. It just doesn't.
Well, Chris,
it doesn't.
Realize this is my first year even covering or following college baseball even slightly. Okay. I was aware that Florida had a pretty decent program. Florida's won a national championship. I was aware of that, right? But it wasn't big when I went to school there, and it wasn't big in any of the markets that I've covered. So you're selling me a ticket to Omaha. The hell do I want to go to Omaha, Nebraska for? Like, if I give you a ticket to Omaha, Chris, 51 weeks out of 52 in the year, you're not accepting that. You're not accepting that ticket.
Again, the College World Series is more so what I'm referring to. But it's like comparing, and I know it's not apples to apples because football is king and it outweighs. And so that's the difference, Mark. Like, if you're not a big baseball person, you're going to take the football win. It doesn't matter if it's regular season, bowl game, preseason. Probably doesn't even matter. But I am a huge baseball guy. And getting to Omaha is awesome. And I've always had a dream of going to Omaha, covering the Yardcocks if they ever made it to the College World Series while I was doing this. So for me, like, it hits to a different level. You know what I mean? Like, if you're a casual baseball fan, then you'd probably take the football victory. But this to me is like comparing, would you rather win the regular season series in baseball over Florida or win the football game to get to the college football playoff? Like, that's literally kind of what you're asking me, but the reverse. So for some people, it might be the football game. But for me,
no, I'm not seeing football. I'm not seeing football on here. I'm seeing a lot of baseball, but proving my point that we're all victims of recency bias.
Right.
I think if I asked you the same thing, Chris, right before Florida plays South Carolina in football, and I would say to you, like, when does Florida play South Carolina this year? November again, probably, right?
Yes.
So early November. If I said to you the day before the game, you can have a win over Florida in football or you go to Omaha this year, you might say, we went to Omaha last year. Give me the football win. You know what I'm saying? And I think, so we're right here, right now. You've already recovered from the L. Maybe the better question is you get to go to Omaha now, or you get the loss to Florida this coming November. Okay?
I will take Omaha right now. Yeah.
Wow. And you'll take the loss to Florida.
Again, like, Chris, if losing, losing to Florida in football is the difference between going 7-5 or 8-4 or 6-6 and 7-5. I mean, what's the difference? Like, we're splitting hairs. Like, if Carolina had a realistic shot to go to the SEC championship, well, then maybe I have a different answer because it's like, well, that game could cost us the trip to Atlanta. But I mean, it's all about just which bowl game are they going to.
So, Chris, what are you talking about? You and I determined 8-4 is successful, 7-5 is
I get that. I get that.
That's not what splitting hairs. I'll make the deal with you right now, okay? Here we go. Everyone can witness this, okay? Everyone in sports media can witness this. I am giving you, Chris, shake on it, buddy. I'm giving you the super regional win over the Gators, and I'm taking the football win in November, okay? We're shaking it right now. It's done, okay? Once you win the super regional, I don't want any analysis on the Florida football game. It's already been played.
It's already done. It's over. It's over.
Okay?
If only those kinds of trades.
All of you.
If only those. You know, my argument, Mark, would be that we already paid our dues taking a 38-6 L to Florida. So I don't feel like we should have to trade another one. technically this is still in the same athletic calendar year as, right? Because it starts in the fall, ends in the summer. So I think we've already paid the piper. Personally, in my opinion.
When Florida wins the first game of the Super Regional, we'll see if you still are interested in taking a bet then. Okay.
I'm telling you though, I'm really not even trying to be combative with you. If you would have asked me last football season, the day before the game, I still would have said, give me the trip to the College World Series. I just, you know what? If I had to choose, I'm being truthful. We can do this again. We can do the same exercise the day before the football game, and I will tell you, College World Series. Maybe my mind changes. I don't think it will, though. I don't think it will.
You learn stuff about where you're living all the time, and it took me until this year with both Clemson and South Carolina being good at baseball, because it's kind of been hit and miss since I've been here, Chris, with the baseball teams. And you're not really getting punished for not covering it, in my shoes, when college baseball hasn't been big anywhere else I've been.
Yeah.
And then the teams aren't great up until now when I've been here. This year, it was like, why aren't you talking college baseball? What? I haven't heard that at all since I've been here. So I always say in the MLB ranks, there's something special about the relationship between a team and its community. Chris, I moved here from Houston, Texas. I grew up in Houston, Texas. That's a baseball town, man. And you wouldn't think that. You're like, Houston, Texas, that's football. It's high school football, college, NFL. Brother, that is an Astros town. There's something. Atlanta is a baseball town. Who do you think is the most popular team in Atlanta? It's not even close. The Hawks don't even register there.
Yeah.
Right? The Falcons barely register there. That is a baseball town, man. Something super special. I just didn't realize that applied to college baseball until this particular season, this year. I really got a picture of that, man. And look, I'll be rooting for the orange and blue, but I don't have a ton of knowledge on Florida's roster or anything like that. And I'm excited to see the spectacle, man. I really am.
Mm-hmm. Well, Mark, if you're around town, we'll be at Carolina Ale House, Woodruff Road in Greenville. If you want to come out, watch the games, hang out, talk some ball. But no,
Chris,
yeah.
I'm in to have a good time and a great atmosphere. I'm not so sure that is the atmosphere I'm looking at.
Well, believe it or not, I had somebody ask me if you were going to be there since it was in Greenville. They were like, "Is Mark Ryan going to come out?" But to your point, maybe I get it. I get it.
What days are you going to
we're doing all three if they play a third game, but we're going to be there tomorrow and Saturday for sure. So, yeah.
So the question is Florida going to win 2-0 or 2-1? Is that the question for you?
No, the question is, are they going to play? Yeah, I guess so, right. But it's tomorrow at 6, so I think you'll be on your show at that point, which is actually really interesting for you. And then Saturday at 3 is first pitch. Both those games are on ESPN2. So national TV broadcast for Carolina, Florida. I mean, I think it's the best super regional out there. And, again, to your point, Mark, I mean, I would say baseball is the crown jewel of South Carolina. I really would. Just because of the longevity and the history and the tradition. And I mean, this isn't like a small sample size of Carolina's been good for a couple of years. I mean, Mark, they've been great at college baseball since the late 90s. And I mean, what Ray Tanner built and then winning the national titles.
Okay.
There's been a drop off, but I think South Carolina people still take a lot of pride. And so do Clemson people. They take a lot of pride in their college baseball, and that makes for great college baseball across the board. So it should be a great weekend. Mark, one last thing before I get you out of here. I know you got to run, but I know you have really strong feelings on the EA Sports. It's in the game. The EA. I thought that was pretty good. That wasn't bad. That wasn't bad.
Wait, just a minute. No. Ladies and gentlemen on the Daily Pro, what we need here is we need an A through F score from Chris's example, and then my impression. Okay, so Chris, who does a better impression? Chris, that wasn't bad. Let's hear what you got. Okay.
So you want me to go first? Do it again.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, we're doing the impression. EA Sports. It's in the game.
That's not bad. That's not bad, Chris. All right, buddy. Here you go.
All right.
NCAA Football 2023 EA Sports. It's in the game. What do you think?
Well, I like that. I love that. I'd give you an A+. I think that's incredible. If it's in the game, it's in the game. Yeah, it's just
if it's in the game, EA.
We gotta have it. We gotta have it, man. But dude, there's people trying to ruin this video game coming back, man. I know you got strong feelings on it.
Dude, you know what, man? This cat from Clemson who's saying $500 isn't enough. Tremaine Ankrum saying $500 isn't enough. Give me a break. You're getting $500 for the honor of having your name in the game. Here's a true story, guys. If you got the video game Madden 2000, I'm in the game. I was a lead tester on that game. You get the game, you go to secret codes, you type in "We Are the Game." Madden will say boom. You can play as me. Naturally, I'm rated 100 across the board because, hell, it's me, okay? And I'm on the EA Sports team in that game, and it was a hell of an experience. It has been the greatest crime to humanity, Chris, that we have not been able to participate, play that game for such a long period of time. And now they want, imagine we've been held up from this thing all these years just so the players could get $500. And then so these guys are saying, Chris, well, you know what, man? NFL players are getting between $17K and $28K a pop. So this isn't fair. Yeah, guess what else isn't fair, brother? Number one, life. Number two, 1.6% of you guys ever make it to the NFL. Number three, they're hella better players than you are at the NFL level, right? So it's like, well, if you're Caleb Williams, why are you getting the same amount of money that the third string wide receiver at North Texas is getting, right? Like, why is that the difference? And it's because EA Sports isn't going to negotiate with 7,000 players, man. That's why. So, if you can't see that being in the game is great for your brand, brother, I can't help you. But Chris, I don't even understand this to begin with. This whole likeness thing. Because, back in the day, you'd play as Florida and you'd use Tim Tebow, and it didn't look like Tim Tebow. So, like, give him a different number and make him right-handed and just make him a 99, right? It doesn't look like Tim Tebow. Why are you getting sued for his likeness? These players never looked like, did Steven Garcia ever look like Steven Garcia? I mean, he's got a very distinctive appearance, right? He never looked like Steven Garcia, right? Ever. Never.
And there's a community out there, Mark. We do the simulations before the season, and there's a community out there that makes these rosters. So, heck, I just say just make the game, make all the players that either don't want to agree or just go across the board, make it all generic, and let the roster community do their worst, and I think we'll be fine. All you need is the schools and the stadiums and the traditions and all those things. I think the community can handle the rosters, man. So if that's really the way they want to go, it's a shame. I agree with you. I mean, it's a shame. I'm all for players getting compensated, but I just think, dude, like I said it on social media, and I'll say it again. I think you're just a straight up asshole if you have an asking price that is so absurd that you can't be in the video game. Like, I mean, and my guy JD Piquel yesterday on 3 Sports made a great point. Like, if your sole way of getting the bag is being in the video game, like, you probably need to reassess your value because you're not getting NIL from anywhere else. So what makes you think you should get it in this scenario? You know what I mean? So I don't know. I just –
And none of us want to play. None of us want to play. Imagine, Chris, a scenario, and we're heading toward this, where the game system costs $500 and NCAA costs $250. It costs half the price of the game. By the way, if that happens, Chris, and let me tell you, you're talking about simulations. 2 weeks ago today was my birthday. I got this from my sister for my birthday. Okay,
I love that.
I got this game, Chris, and some in your audience will know this, is the greatest old school baseball game of all time. It was the first game ever that incorporated the memory chip, so it allowed you to create a team. It allowed you to trade players, fire players. You win money when you beat teams in the game, and then you're allowed to improve your team when you win money, So what I've done, Chris, they've got a team called the American Dreams in this game, and it has all the best American players ever. Pete Rose, Hank Aaron, Joe DiMaggio, all those guys are in this game. I created the Rockford Peaches from a league of their own. I've got Madonna in center field, okay? And I am building them up, and I'm going to take down the American Dreams with the Rockford Peaches. It's going to be outstanding. I'm telling you, man, I got to have you over sometime to play this game. This is a freaking blast, and some in your audience will recognize this. This is a collector's item I hold in my hands right here, okay? You will have to pry this game off of my dead hands, brother.
Let's do it. And my suggestion, Mark, was going to be for the NCAA football game. I don't know if you remember Mascot Mashup, where you would just literally play as the mascots. Hey, if the players want to agree to NIL, Let's just play as the mascots and set the ratings, and we'll just go from there. I'm down with that.
Why do I enjoy, Chris, watching the mascots stiff arm kids? Why do I find that so?
If you can't laugh at that, I just don't think you have a sense of humor, or at least not the type of sense of humor that I want to be around. So I don't know. Mark Ryan of All Sides with Mark Ryan of the Fan Upstate each and every single day, 3 to 7. Check him out and at Mark Ryan on air on Twitter. Mark, I appreciate you taking the time, man. Enjoy yourself today at Thornblade and appreciate you doing this each and every single week, my friend.
Beads of sweat coming off this forehead at the chance of interviewing Ken Griffey Jr. or David Wells today, man. Bobby Patterson, you're 100% right, my man. Back in the day. We'll see you guys next week. Have a great one.
Best of luck, Mark. Appreciate you, man. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Great stuff, guys, from Mark Ryan. That was an electric conversation. Electric stuff from Mark Ryan. Guys, that being said, we're going to jump into a quick break, but on the other side, hey, we're jumping into the Q&A Power Hour. I want to hear from you, your questions, your comments, your calls, and more on the other side of the break. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. Attention all Gamecocks seafood lovers. Are you tired of searching for the freshest seafood in town? Look no further than the Carolina Fish Market, your go-to destination for the finest and most flavorful seafood in the Carolinas and beyond. Introducing the new Carolina Seafood Subscription Box, a culinary delight delivered right to your doorstep. Each month, you'll receive a carefully curated selection of fresh local seafood sourced directly from the waters of the Carolinas and beyond. From succulent shrimp to mouth-watering grouper to flounder or tuna and everything in between, their subscription box brings the ocean's bounty straight to your Gamecock kitchen. What sets the Carolina Fish Market apart is their commitment to quality and sustainability. They work closely with local fishermen and women who use responsible fishing practices, ensuring that every bite you take supports both your taste buds and our precious marine ecosystems. They've even won Best Seafood 5 out of the last 8 years. But that's not all. They're offering free shipping to all TSUS listeners on every Carolina Seafood subscription box, making it even easier for you to indulge in the flavors of the coast. Experience the convenience and joy of having fresh seafood delivered right to your door without any of the hassle. Don't miss on this incredible opportunity to elevate your culinary adventures with the Carolina Fish Market's Carolina Seafood Subscription Box. Join the seafood enthusiasts across the nation who are savoring the taste of the Carolinas, one delectable bite at a time, and just in time for Father's Day. Visit their website today at carolinafishmarket.com. That's carolinafishmarket.com and embark on a seafood journey like no other. Freshness, flavor, and convenience await you. Order your Carolina Seafood subscription box now and use the promo code SPURSUP, that's SPURSUP, for $10 off your first purchase. Again, that's promo code SPURSUP, SPURSUP, for $10 off your first purchase. The Carolina Fish Market, where taste meets the ocean.
Marshall Dougie, ho.
All right, guys, we're back here on this Thursday, June the 8th, 2023. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. With that being said, our Power Hour officially begins as we take your questions, your comments, your calls as well. 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377. In case you missed it, really excited for this weekend, guys. We will be at Carolina Ale House, Woodruff Road, all weekend long to watch the Gamecocks take on the Gators in the Gainesville Super Regional tomorrow at 6, Saturday at 3, and Sunday if necessary. Hopefully it's not, and South Carolina just takes the first two games in fashion, if you will. Not dramatic fashion, just in fashion. Guys, come on out, though. Carolina Ale House, Woodruff Road. We'll also be giving away some gift cards to Carolina Ale House or whatever location you're at, though. Whatever local location, head out to your local Carolina Ale House and watch the game with us. We'll be specifically at Carolina Ale House, Woodruff Road, Greenville, South Carolina. All the details are on social media. Somebody texted in and said, listening to the podcast, and as I am a fan of Robbie Davis, Mr. OK, am I alone in imagining Tyler from the Wendy's commercial when hearing Robbie Davis speak? Feels good to be good, go Cox. I am not familiar with Tyler from the Robbie Davis commercial. I'm not. Let's see. Let's get into your questions. Andrew the textbook says, we have not won a Super since 2012. Winning this one would be huge for us. Justin Langford says, we know Sullivan and company are going to be ready. Will we be ready to roll as well? Joseph says, Dewey Justin, Florida is known for choking. He also says Sully's the type of guy to have his players too uptight. Justin, True Joe, we have a great hitting plan. We have enough bullpen to push us over the edge. Justin said we should think about a Tampa Bay Rays style of pitching with an opener. I don't know if I'd go that far, but I like where your head's at. Joseph said, there's only so much Florida pitching can do because when we were playing our brand of baseball, we were taking very disciplined at bats and punishing strikes. Ruin Nation said he's got Robbie Davis at 6 minutes and 34 seconds. In case you missed it, Austin Gregory, 6 minutes and 10 seconds. Let's see. James Kendall says Chris is about to pick the Vols to win our Super Regional in Gainesville. Not sure how that makes sense, but James, I hear you. Travis says we need Proctor, Veach, and other bullpen guys to step up. We can do it. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, we're without Noah Hall. We all know that. Big Wash says if Florida wins, we're going to have a bunch of crybabies whining for Kingston to be fired. And I would say, Big Wash, that'd be the wrong approach to losing the series. I would say that's the wrong approach for sure. Yeah, I just think that would be the right approach. I think Mark Kingston, the fact that he's got him to this point is, I've already said my piece of what I think it means for Kingston and for his tenure here. But, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm sure Twitter will be in peak form this weekend. It'll be in peak form, no doubt. Let's see. Just running through these questions. Braddock843 talking about the head coaches list. Says if Brad Scott isn't number one, this list is bogus. Good Lord. Justin Langford ranks his top 5. Lou Holtz 5th, Paul Dietzel 4th, Rex Enright 3rd, Joe Morrison 2nd, and Steve Spurrier 1. It was hard not to put Paul Dietzel at number 1, or not number 1. It was hard to put Paul Dietzel not in the top 5. It really was. Just didn't make my top 5, though. But Paul Dietzel, obviously one of the greats, led the Gamecocks to the 69 ACC championship. So Lynn Turner says that 1-21 stretch was brutal. Yeah, Lynn, I really can't even imagine. It had really not clicked for me. I was just a youngster. I knew nothing about Gamecocks football. So I didn't firsthand experience 0-11 or 1-21. I didn't firsthand experience that. Lynn Turner, we were number 2. We already knew that the number 1 team had lost. We would have been number 1 if we had just beaten Navy. Truly. Lynn Turner says, Sad thing is Joe's passing probably saved us major sanctions from the steroid scandal. That is a very good point. That is a very, very good point, no doubt. Travis says, I was at Willie B in 09 when we trounced the Pussycats. Yeah, that was a hell of a game. I almost went to that game. Let's see. Brewer Nation said, wow, no Brad Scott and Muschamp. I'm literally shaking with rage. Ethan says, Griffey was one of my biggest baseball heroes. Him and Big Poppy and Sammy Souza first got me interested in baseball. Yeah, man, all legends. All those guys you mentioned, legends, man. Absolute legends. Let's see. Is wearing Florida blue. Austin. I think, but might have you confused with somebody else. No, so Austin, he chose the Gamecocks to win the regional. He did choose South Carolina. He just said that Campbell got shafted in the process and South Carolina should not have been hosting. So, yeah, Bobby Patterson says, give me Omaha easy. Roman Pageant, Omaha, baby. Baseball is king. Jeff Gull is just winning the Super Regional mean we could win the College World Series. Yes, this is to punch your ticket to the College World Series. Bobby Patterson, that 9-3, I think would put us too far ahead of schedule that I wouldn't know if we can sustain. Yeah, I mean, dude, I listen. I get where Mark's coming from in the sense of like, I guess if you're really just that casual about baseball, then you would take the football victory. But dude, no, you don't take a football regular season win over going to Omaha to the College World Series. No shot. No shot. No freaking shot. Dalton Hines says the players needed to wear that L in order to get their ass into gear to beat the Vols and the Tigers. I mean, dude, honestly though, South Carolina does not beat Tennessee or Clemson probably if the result isn't so bad that Shane Beamer's hand is forced in demoting Marcus Satterfield. So it's a blessing in disguise. Bobby Patterson, I got Florida advancing. I've done my prediction. I have Florida advancing to Omaha. Yeah, I think they take the series in 3 games. Chris Miller says, I grew up in Sumter, South Carolina, hometown and current residence of Bobby Richardson. As head coach of USC from 1970 to 1976, he had some good teams from 74 to 76, 2 NCAA regionals and 1 College World Series runner-up team. So, yes, Carolina baseball was definitely good before the 90s. I was just giving some context, like it's been good for like 30 straight years. But yes, South Carolina baseball was good before the 90s. Yes, I do understand that. I do understand that. So again, guys, 843-790-3377. I do want to hear from each and every one of you. Somebody asked me, Chris, where's the Florida GIF, the Family Guy GIF? I don't think he means the GIF. I think he means the video. Everyone from the video I post every single Florida week in football. So again, guys, appreciate you all tuning in. Great stuff today. Appreciate those over at Inside the Gamecocks, the Big Spur, JC Sherbert, JB, and Phil Mullinax for having me on the show this morning. Great conversation with those guys. We had a really, really good time. And guys, I'll say this because I'm sure you all saw it on social media, but you know, and I like Pops. I like Pops Frisbee a lot. But here's the thing. When I give a prediction, like I don't view a prediction as positive, negative, what have you. I'm simply just giving my thoughts on what I think is going to happen. That's it. It's not an indication of who I'm pulling for. It's not an indication of I like one team more than the other. It is just simply a prediction. That is literally it. It is nothing more and it is nothing less, right? And so I picked Florida to advance to Omaha. I think I listed all my reasons earlier in the show why I think Florida will take the series. And you got my guy Pops Frisbee. Why would you post this? I'm guessing, but why? Clicks, I'm guessing. Certainly everyone has a right to an opinion, but why put negativity out there? A prediction's not positive or negative, my friend. And I don't know how many times I have to say this. Like, I understand why it happens because we are the biggest Gamecock entity out there, and we're a Gamecock entity based off our name, the Spurs Up Show, our logo being garnet and black, creating merch that's garnet and black that, has Gamecock interest at heart. So, like, that's all fine and dandy, but I think where the misconception comes that we are a cheerleader of the University of South Carolina because of that. Oh, you're a Gamecock entity, so therefore you just promote all positive things Gamecocks. It's like, that's not true. Yes, we pull for the Gamecocks. I want the Gamecocks to win in everything, but I see things objectively and give an honest prediction while doing so. So I don't know how that's hard for some people to understand. I don't get that. Let's jump to the phone lines here.
Call from
Nancy's Nook.
To accept, press 1.
Let's see
To
what
send
this
a
is. I'm
voicemail,
curious.
Press 2.
Yo. Okay, very good. The slapdickery has made its way to the voicemail line, which that didn't come from the Spurs Up Show voicemail. That came from an actual number in Columbia, South Carolina. So I do not know. I do not know who that is or what that was. Interesting. Either way, guys, 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377. Anyways, guys, yeah, to the point. I mean, back to it. Chase says the fact you have to explain what a prediction is says all about those people. I mean, again, it's one of those things, man, where people, they get confused in thinking that, like, I'm supposed to be like the largest hype man for South Carolina. Like that's not it at all. Like, guys, that's just not it. Like, that's not my role. That's not what I do. I don't know how anyone can have that misconception at this point. Like, I've picked South Carolina to lose so many times. I've picked them to win a lot as well, which people just tend to forget about. And I understand because it's human nature. We remember the negative and not the positive so much. But, like, I pick Carolina to win all the time. I pick them to win all the time, but we got the rally puppies in the studio, which is a good omen, by the way. I pick them to lose all the time, but I also pick them to win all the time. Like, but, why are you blasting this negativity? Bro, it's a pick. And I'm not going to sit there every weekend and pick a victory to be for the sake of positivity. Like, give me a break, dude. Like, literally give me a break. You weren't patting me on the back when I picked us to win the Columbia Regional. So why the hell are you coming to my mentions now and want to say something stupid, say something cross? You sound like a dumbass. Like, straight up. Straight up. I don't know why people use Twitter to air themselves out as, I don't know. Let's turn to the phone lines.
Call from
Pandora's Box.
To accept, press 1.
Is there actually going to be a message or not?
Pandora's Box.
Okay, so I guess what's going on, somebody's trolling right now, getting stores to call our number. I don't know how exactly that works, but there you go. The slapdickery has found the voicemail line. So again, guys, 843-790-3377. It feels good to be the one being trolled, man. I used to dream about the point. I used to dream about the time of year or the time in business and the time where this show where, in the beginning, I never got trolled because nobody cared what I said. Through the first year, second year, and then we started to grow. And now, man, Twitter's a complete cesspool. We're getting trolled every day. But it feels good to be the one getting trolled. That's kind of, believe it or not, that's the position you want to be in. I have it on good authority. We're the top topic of conversation amongst those you wouldn't think we would be. So it's just kind of funny. It's kind of funny. But at the end of the day, Lynn Turner, somehow they have hacked your line and getting your number to call stores. Yeah, I don't know how, Lynn, that works out. I don't know how that works out, Lynn. I don't know. People with too much time. So anyways, the phone line is open for whatever madness or craziness or maybe even slapdickery you'd like it to be. So let's see. Bobby Patterson says Supers buy him another year minimum. Yeah, Mark Kingston should be back next year. Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, the prediction was Super Regionals or bust, and not necessarily winning it, but just getting there. So the expectation was Supers or bust, and that's the point that Mark Kingston's got them to. So I have no issues with Mark Kingston coming back next year. So anyways, I got nothing but love for Pops Frisbee, and I know that he's continued to follow up on Twitter about it, whatever, and I said something, but it's just like, it's this is coming from me. Maybe some people view this differently. I don't view a prediction as positive or negative. Like, I just take the Phantom out and give my thoughts on what I think is going to happen. It doesn't change at all how I'm pulling. Like, I want the Gamecocks to win. There's no question about that. There's no debate about that. But I'm going to give my honest take and analysis of what I think is going to happen. I've been wrong a lot of times. I've been right a lot of times. And I don't want to be right this time. But it's so funny. Like, some people, they act like it's like, do you want me to beat my chest after I pick Carolina to lose and I'm correct? Like, I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be wrong. Like, I want to be wrong, right? But I don't know. It's just the nature of the beast, man. It is what it is. It is what it is. So anyways, I think it's a 50-50 series. I really do. I think it's just two great teams. It's best on best. It's what you want to see this time of the year. And it's two Omaha caliber teams. The beauty is only one gets to go. Only one gets to go to Omaha. So Brian Dean says, I got South Carolina winning in 2 games. Game 1, 7-4. Game 2, 9-3. I love that. Hey, I love that, Brian, and I'd love to see it happen again. Big key, as I mentioned in the first hour, the patience at the plate, man. 24 walks. 24 walks. South Carolina drew in that first series against the Gators. That type of patience, yet again, they're going to need to have it. They're going to need to have it for sure. So, anyways, guys, the phone lines are open. 843-790-3377. Appreciate each and every single one of you. I want to say, guys, thank you all so much for continuing to show love, support the podcast. The numbers continue to just skyrocket, go to the moon, if you will, since we started this new distribution model of the podcast. And I really appreciate, man, each and every single one of you, the positive feedback that we've gotten on that front as well. It's awesome. It's awesome stuff, man. And to see the growth of the show and to know that there's still tons of growth. There's still tons of growth to go when it comes to the podcast and comes to the show and everything else. It's a blessing, man. It's really, really cool. It's cool that you can be, it's cool when you're along the journey, when you can kind of reinvent yourself and, again, do things that are best for business, best for the consumer as well. And we've definitely done that and hit the sweet spot with the way that we are distributing the podcast on a day in, day out basis. So, again, guys, we'd love to hear your thoughts. I have the Gators taking the series. I got them advancing. I think this is a series, as I mentioned in the first hour. It's got 3 games, man, written all over it. It's got 3 games written all over it. I see this being a fantastic back-and-forth series. I think most likely, I've actually got, the Gamecocks winning game 1, losing game 2, and then go into a game 3 winner-take-all game. And I just think in Gainesville, I think Florida's got the upper hand. I just do. I mean, listen, home field advantage is a big deal, and it's why you fight for it all season. And, unfortunately, Florida got it. So, and it's unfortunate that Texas Tech couldn't have taken down the Gators. They had to win 1 game where Florida had to win, Had to win 2, and they couldn't get it done. So, instead, you've got Florida hosting. So, let's see. Somebody else. I mean, it's funny. Somebody else speaks on Twitter. I will speak for everyone regardless of what they think. We do not care about the players' names on the jersey. We will edit our own jerseys. Just drop the game. Yeah, I think that's how most people feel about the EA Sports game. So, yeah, just drop the game and let the community that's done all the roster stuff use generic players that remove likeness. So, and then they're going to feel real silly when the game drops with generic players, and then they're seeing people play with them on the game, and it's like, well, I got nothing for it. So, I don't know, man. Hopefully, they come to an agreement. We all want to see that series come back, that NCAA football series. So, let's see. Bobby Patterson, we'll take game 1. We take it in 2. Brian Dean says it will be in the back of Florida's mind that South Carolina swept them. No doubt. No doubt. John Evers says, Chris, I got the Gamecocks in 3. So here's an interesting comment. Yeah, and Brian Dean Athlon's got the Gamecocks picked 3rd in the SEC East. I did see that. Here is an interesting comment because I'm surprised this made its way to people and I didn't say anything about it when it came about or when it hit my inbox, hit my DMs. CockFan93 says, did you hear the audio by James Daniels' dad from Shane Beamer about NIL and saying that the money was promised? Since this is being asked, and I saw Bruin Nation say something earlier in the show that I'm not going to read out loud or publish, and I'm sure Bruin Nation understands why I won't do that. And James Daniels, the father of Jaden Daniels, tweeted out something yesterday about Shane Beamer, taking a shot at Shane Beamer. And let's see. What exactly did it say again? What exactly did it say? I can't even find it. This dude tweets like a madman. Basically saying just about, trust the man, not the logo, and really just insinuating that Shane Beamer is a coach that is not to be trusted or just it seemed like he was questioning his integrity and his character. I will say this, James Daniels, the father of Jaden Daniels, he follows us on social media, and I've interacted with him before, like last football season, just about football stuff. Nothing crazy. And I will say that I was sent that audio, and I'll get to that more, Cock fan, in just a second, but we're going to jump to the phone lines right now.
Call from
Robbie Davis, Zaxby's Hall of Famer.
Robbie, what's going on, my friend? How are you?
I'm doing good. I got me a full belly of Zaxby's, so I'm doing pretty good.
Hey, the Zaxby's king himself has a full belly of Zaxby's. Love it, Robbie.
I just wanted to say a couple things. One, I absolutely agree with your top 5 coaches that you mentioned earlier. And obviously, I was not alive whenever we were being coached by Joe Morrison. But I definitely think if it wasn't for his passing, he probably would have been the best coach in school history.
There's a chance. There's definitely a chance, man. Unfortunately, we'll never know, but there's definitely a chance. But I don't know. Everything happens for a reason, as dark as that may sound to say. But no, I think, it'd be hard to top what Spurrier did, man. It'd be really hard to top what Spurrier did.
Right. And another thing too is what I think people forget is that whenever Spurrier was hired, there was a lot of people that were like, there's no way he's going to win or be able to recruit the way he did at Florida, and there's no way he's going to win an SEC East title. And instead of being a jackass towards those people, he was like, all right, I'm just gonna do my thing and prove you idiots wrong. And it took a while, but dadgummit, I mean, we won the East, made it to Atlanta. We were recruiting very well in leading up to the 2010 season. Even though it didn't happen, I believe that Spurrier showed, hey, you can win here and recruit here at a high level if you just give it time to develop and you get the right pieces. And like you also said, Beamer was on the 2010 staff, so he knows what it takes to turn this football team into a contender to get to a conference title.
Indeed. Yeah, Robbie, you hit a lot of good points.
I truly believe that. he has a big old like I guess you could call it like a study book or whatever of all the stuff that he's learned over the years of being an assistant, and he uses that to help him with coaching here, because he everything that he's learned he's written down in like a really big like playbook kind of thing, I guess you could say, for lack of a better word. And he uses that and uses everything that he's learned to help him with this job that he has, because just like Spurrier, he wants to prove, hey, you can win and recruit at a high level here. You just got to give it some time and let it build. And that is exactly what he's doing in the transfer portal and in just recruiting in general. He is building a program that we can be proud of regardless of the outcome of the games, because at the end of the day, he's going to do what is best for the university, hands down, period.
I agree with all that, Robbie. I think we're in a good spot. I think we're in a really good spot with Beamer.
And I'm just telling, I've already made up my mind that if we, by some miracle, win a conference title, okay, I am probably going to have I'm probably going to go crazy, okay? I'm already crazy enough as is, but I will probably, I'll be going completely bonkers, okay? They'll have to put me in a padded room, put me in a straight jacket. I'll be probably going crazy if that was to ever happen. But that's what I think about that. And my prediction for the weekend, okay, this is the last thing that I'm done, okay? I definitely think that we are going to win tomorrow for sure. For tomorrow, my prediction is 6-3 South Carolina. For Saturday, 7-3 South Carolina. And no need to play on Sunday because we're going to send Florida packing.
The 6-3, 7-3, Carolina wins both.
Yes.
I like it. Hey, I hope your prediction comes true, my friend. I would love to see it.
And just in case there is a game 3, I'm probably going to miss it because I'm leaving Sunday afternoon to go help out with that camp, and I won't be back until Friday.
Well,
so in case there is a
hopefully then it's just 2 games and done. We take both 2. I don't want you to miss the third game.
Yeah, 2 games and then done, and then off to Omaha. Packing the bags for Omaha and getting it done. But that's all I got. Go Gamecocks, and to hell with Clemson. To hell with them.
Well said, Robbie. Well said.
All right, buddy. You have a good one.
Yeah, man. You too. Appreciate you. Robbie Davis. Appreciate him calling in. 6 minutes and 47 seconds for Robbie Davis. 6 minutes, 47 seconds. The over hits. The over hits Austin Gregory. So you don't have to find anything better to do with your life because Robbie just went over. What did Ruben Nation set it at again? What was the over under? 634. So y'all are both right. So the over cashes today for Robbie Davis. Again, really quickly, guys, back to the James Daniels thing. Again, I've interacted with him very, very briefly during like the football season, like just talking ball, whatever, but very briefly. And I was sent a couple of weeks ago. I don't remember exactly when it was, but a couple of weeks ago, James Daniels, the father of Jaden Daniels, sent me an audio recording of a phone call between he and Shane Beamer, which I'm almost positive is like illegal. I don't think in the state of South Carolina you are allowed to record people on a private phone call. I could be wrong. Again, this was May the 16th when he did this, and I have not said anything. Of course, I haven't posted anything because I just feel like I'm not going to spark a fire that isn't there. You know what I mean? I'm not going to spark a fire that there's no need to spark. But I was sent something by the father of the former quarterback, Jaden Daniels, walk-on quarterback, and basically, he had mentioned things that had happened with promises, I guess, from Marcus Satterfield and Beamer and NIL maybe or something. I have no idea. He actually reached out to me trying to resolve the matter, which I'm like, I mean, dude, you're kind of, I don't know. You're sort of reaching out to the wrong person, I think. But I did not feel the need to spark anything. But it feels I don't know why. Maybe it sounds like he's sending this audio to other people now. Is that what's happening? Maybe because I don't know how anybody else would know about it unless he was sending it out to people. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. You know, guys, I'll tell you this. I give my honest opinion and takes on things South Carolina, but I am a fan at the end of the day, and I'm not going to support anything that's going to hurt the University of South Carolina. Like, I'm just not doing it. And something like that witch hunt, I'm not going to support it. I'm not going to. Oh, he posted it on the time. Really? No. What? Wow. Posted it on the timeline. Wow. The fact that he is posting this on the timeline. Wow. Wow. Okay. Well, then I guess it's out there. It's not really a secret anymore. Wow. I did not know that. Thank you for pointing that out. That is. Wow. Wow. That's stunning to me. That is truly stunning to me that he threw that on the timeline. That is crazy, man. That is crazy. Brian D, let's get back to the questions here. Brian D, Chris, who do you think will be our starting running back for the season opener against North Carolina? I think it's Dak Joyner. I think it's the Kerryon Joyner. I do. Yep. I think Dak Joyner will be RB1 for the season opener. That's crazy, though, man. It's out there now. It's out there now. And so I guess since it's out there, I don't mind telling you all what he told me, in that he also referred to Shane Beamer as, quote, he's not worthy of the title coach, in my opinion, end quote. So I don't know, man. That's crazy. Crazy. I did not know he posted the audio. And again, to share that audio without consent is, shoot, I guess at this point it's on the timeline. We've got the audio, so we could share it. We can share this. Y'all want to hear it? Should we play it? I don't know. I don't know if we should actually play it. I've heard it, and I don't think it makes Beamer look bad at all. He's just telling him, like, hey, whatever Satterfield said, like, that's not, he said something he shouldn't have. I think he literally says that in the I don't know. In the call. I don't know. I don't really want to play it, man, to be honest with you. I really don't. I just don't. I just hear the thing, Cock fan. It's on social media. I just don't want to play it on the airwaves. I don't really want to play it on the airwaves, man. Like, I hate to even bring, like, a bunch of light to it. And I just don't know if, me sharing it would be in the best interest of the show. It's, you said play it, somebody's going to do it. It's out there, Cock fan. It's out there for sure. It's out there. It's out there, but it feels weird to play a call between, like, a private call. You know what I mean? That just feels weird to me. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is, though, with James Daniels and why he's so butthurt and so upset, but I don't know, man. I just think it is a very, very, very weird move to be recording a call, a private phone call, and posting that on social media. I mean, I don't understand it. I don't know how that's even. Brian Deans has made promises and knew he was leaving. Again, I don't know. And I'm sure Beamer is aware of this. I'm sure Beamer is handling it. I don't know. Anyways, guys, hey, let's jump into a quick break. On the other side, I want to continue to hear from you more. Your questions, comments, calls, more. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. Attention all Gamecocks seafood lovers. Are you tired of searching for the freshest seafood in town? Look no further than the Carolina Fish Market, your go-to destination for the finest and most flavorful seafood in the Carolinas and beyond. Introducing the new Carolina Seafood Subscription Box, a culinary delight delivered right to your doorstep. Each month, you'll receive a carefully curated selection of fresh local seafood sourced directly from the waters of the Carolinas and beyond. From succulent shrimp to mouth-watering grouper to flounder or tuna and everything in between, their subscription box brings the ocean's bounty straight to your Gamecock kitchen. What sets the Carolina Fish Market apart is their commitment to quality and sustainability. They work closely with local fishermen and women who use responsible fishing practices, ensuring that every bite you take supports both your taste buds and our precious marine ecosystems. They've even won Best Seafood 5 out of the last 8 years. But that's not all. They're offering free shipping to all TSUS listeners on every Carolina Seafood subscription box, making it even easier for you to indulge in the flavors of the coast. Experience the convenience and joy of having fresh seafood delivered right to your door without any of the hassle. Don't miss on this incredible opportunity to elevate your culinary adventures with the Carolina Fish Market's Carolina Seafood Subscription Box. Join the seafood enthusiasts across the nation who are savoring the taste of the Carolinas, one delectable bite at a time, and just in time for Father's Day. Visit their website today at carolinafishmarket.com. That's carolinafishmarket.com, and embark on a seafood journey like no other. Freshness, flavor, and convenience await you. Order your Carolina Seafood subscription box now and use the promo code SPURSUP, that's SPURSUP, for $10 off your first purchase. Again, that's promo code SPURSUP, SPURSUP, for $10 off your first purchase. The Carolina Fish Market, where taste meets the ocean.
Muscle Dougie, ho.
Attention all Gamecock seafood lovers. Are you tired of searching for the freshest seafood in town? Look no further than the Carolina Fish Market, your go-to destination for the finest and most flavorful seafood in the Carolinas and beyond. Introducing the new Carolina Seafood Subscription Box, a culinary delight delivered right to your doorstep. Each month, you'll receive a carefully curated selection of fresh local seafood sourced directly from the waters of the Carolinas and beyond. From succulent shrimp to mouth-watering grouper to flounder or tuna and everything in between, their subscription box brings the ocean's bounty straight to your Gamecock kitchen. What sets the Carolina Fish Market apart is their commitment to quality and sustainability. They work closely with local fishermen and women who use responsible fishing practices, ensuring that every bite you take supports both your taste buds and our precious marine ecosystems. They've even won Best Seafood 5 out of the last 8 years. But that's not all. They're offering free shipping to all TSUS listeners on every Carolina Seafood subscription box, making it even easier for you to indulge in the flavors of the coast. Experience the convenience and joy of having fresh seafood delivered right to your door without any of the hassle. Don't miss on this incredible opportunity to elevate your culinary adventures with the Carolina Fish Market's Carolina Seafood Subscription Box. Join the seafood enthusiasts across the nation who are savoring the taste of the Carolinas, one delectable bite at a time, and just in time for Father's Day. Visit their website today at carolinafishmarket.com. That's carolinafishmarket.com, and embark on a seafood journey like no other. Freshness, flavor, and convenience await you. Order your Carolina Seafood Subscription Box now and use the promo code SPURSUP, that's SPURSUP, for $10 off your first purchase. Again, that's promo code SPURSUP, SPURSUP, for $10 off your first purchase. The Carolina Fish Market, where taste meets the ocean.
Muscle Dougie, ho.
All right, guys, we're back here on this Thursday, June the 8th, 2023. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Again, thank you all so much for the continued love and support all week long. Looking forward to an exciting weekend of baseball in the Gainesville Super Regional. Madison Duncan says, if it goes to the third game, will you host a Cola Ale House party? No, Madison, we will be in Greenville yet again at the Woodruff Road location. We'll be there all weekend long. Let's go ahead and jump to the phone lines here. Skyler, what's up, man?
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. What's going on?
Man, I was just calling to talk any little super regional, give my little prediction to you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, how you feeling going in the weekend?
Well, it go either way. For the Gamecocks to win the super, they have to win the first two games. If it goes game 3, I think Florida's definitely going to win. If it goes 3 games.
Right. I tend to feel the same way. I mean, it obviously favors Florida for sure. It obviously favors Florida. So, being at their place, Carolina hadn't won a series there since 2011, and I like the Gators pitching depth a little bit more than South Carolina's. But I'd agree with you, man. You do everything you can to win those first 2 games.
Right. I feel like if you win the first game, you're definitely going to go all out to win the second, pitching wise. So I know it's going to be Jack Mahoney Friday, James Hicks Saturday, and Sunday it's going to be TPA, because if you win Friday, you're definitely not saving Sanders and Jones. You're trying to win them all. You're trying to throw them all the next day behind James Hicks to win the ball game. Yeah. So,
how do you think they use Will Sanders this weekend?
If you, it just depends. Like if you win Friday, and, you need a closer Saturday to win the game, you're definitely seeing him Saturday. But if you lose Friday, and once again, if you need someone to close out Saturday because you lost Friday, you're definitely seeing him again. But if you win Friday and you're losing big Saturday, I think you see them throw the weaker bullpen guys Saturday and try to play for it all Sunday.
It'll be really interesting to see the chess match, that is the pitching matchups. And I mean, I was, I tell you, Scotland, if I was Sully and Kingston, I don't even think I would release a starting rotation. Like, why not just go TBA? You know what I mean?
Practice is at 2:45 today, and
okay, and they'll chat. Okay.
Yeah, after practice, Kingston will be talking to the media today.
Okay.
So we'll see after practice. But like I said, Sanders is a guy you definitely don't want to waste up 5-6 runs, and definitely don't want to waste if you're down 5 to 6 runs.
Yeah.
If you throw Sanders Sunday, it's because you need to win game 3, or if you throw him Saturday, it's because you need to win game 2 and close it out. I don't think you see him Friday night. I think you're going to see, you're going to see Mahoney, and depending on the score, if you're winning or losing closely or tie ball game, you see Eli Jones come in, and probably Crease Beach.
Indeed. Yeah, I think that's probably how they'll go about it as well.
You're definitely not going to see, Eli Jones or Beach or any of your future arms winning 6-7 runs or even losing 4 to 5 runs. So if you're down 1-2 runs and you're trying to keep the ball game close for your offense, of course you're going to see it. Or if you're up 1-2 runs, you're going to see your better arms. So, but I do think, talk a little bit about the Gators here. Their roster does not have any holes in it at all. I mean, personally, they probably have one of the best rosters in college baseball, plus probably the best college baseball player outside of the guy at LSU. And if they're on, I just don't see us winning down there in Florida. Not to knock on the Gamecocks. Just, you said like I said, the Gamecocks just don't play good at Gainesville, just like the Florida Gators don't play good at Founders Park. Because it's been 2018 since Florida's winning Founders, and it's been 2011 since the Gamecocks won in Gainesville, and it just one of them things.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, listen, I think that definitely factors in, and I mean, there's no secret. You have the advantage when you're playing at home versus on the road, and again, man, I echo what I was just saying a little bit earlier. I mean, I also picked the Gators to advance, but I'm not doing that in pulling for Florida. I obviously want the Gamecocks to go to Omaha. That goes without saying. But to the points you've made and some of the ones I've made as well, I do think Florida is primed to do it. Now, I think it's a 50-50 series. I really do believe it could go either way. And I think one of the things we're not factoring in is sort of the intangibles, right? Because this time of year, a lot of it comes down to, does the ball bounce your way? Does Uncle Mo in your dugout and do things that are beyond comprehension swing in your favor? We saw that in 10, 11, and 12 and some other times as well. But those are hard things to predict. So based off what we know right now and going off what we've seen on the field, I got to lean the way of Florida.
I do think the boys are ready to play, and they're not going to lay down at all.
Right.
This is not going to be one of them things that Florida's just 10 times tons better than us, and we're just going to go down there and just hope to score some runs to keep it competitive. We're going to go down there, and the thought of our hands is to win this thing, and we're better than Florida. And these boys are ready to play, and they're going to try to win the game. So
Indeed.
but I do want to, before I get off the phone, I do think Florida is your national champion this year. I just think pitching wise, they probably have the best staff in college baseball. And to win tournaments like Omaha, like, if you lose a game or something, you got to have the pitching to bounce back. And I think Florida has that. Like I said, they have a complete lineup, 1 through 9. Another thing before I get off the phone is next year, I think we're even better next year than we are this year. So,
okay.
With that being said, you got that Gavin Cash that's coming back to school. Dylan Brewers will come back to school. I think a couple players do enter the portal, like Carson Horton. I think he's gone. Evan Stone, I believe he's gone, but you still have Tippett. You still have Braswell. You still have LaCroix. You're still going to have Jacob Cotman. You're still going to have Cole Messina. I mean, and you're going to have some guys coming in the portal that's going to help you out. So I just think, if we can get the pitchers in the portal and, and maybe we can keep a Mahoney or, possibly not. I think he's kind of leading a pro, but, I still think, you got Roman Kimball, and however you want to pronounce his name. I think you're set up really well if you get the right guys out of the portal for this pitching staff.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. No, for sure. I think it sets up well next year as well. So, we'll see. I mean, we saw it from last year to this year, the way a ball club can change in a very short amount of time with all the new faces you had. But, I think Kingston's going to continue to try to win that way, man. Attack the transfer portal. And, I mean, why wouldn't you do it if you can go out and get veteran pieces that have done it before at a high level? And, you're taking much less of a risk, versus trusting a true freshman. So, it'll be interesting to see how they attack that moving forward. But, yeah, big one this weekend, man. That would certainly help boost the recruiting efforts and the portal efforts and, everything in between.
And, just you don't lose a lot in that back order next year.
Yeah.
Really, in my own opinion, you only lose Braylon Wimmer if I'm home. I mean, you can correct me if I'm right, but you only lose Wimmer out that lineup. Everybody else comes back.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a chance to be really good offensively next year. So I'm really, just what they do with losing so many arms that they're losing. So.
Indeed. Yeah. Skyland, I appreciate you calling in, man. I'm looking forward to a fun weekend of baseball, and I hope you and I are both wrong. Hope the Gamecocks,
of course.
Hope this time next week we're talking about South Carolina and Omaha making a run.
Just because I give a prediction to these fans out here, even on my group page, that they say, I can't believe, or you're a Carolina fan or Florida fan, I can't tell. I'm just giving my education by the paper guess. Of course, we want the Gamecocks to win and go win a national championship, but by paper, we have to be realistic.
Indeed we do.
Have a good day, Chris, and I hope we get to play tomorrow. If you ain't looked at the weather, it's looking slim to none. And so I hope we get to start it off tomorrow night.
Indeed, my guy. Indeed. Hey, I appreciate you, Skyline. Always a pleasure.
Later.
Check the weather for Gainesville. See what we're looking at. Weekend weather in Gainesville, Florida. Let's see. Okay, Friday, high of 91, 60% chance of rain. I mean, that's pretty typical. High of 89, 30% chance of rain on Saturday, and then 91 on Sunday with a 60% chance of rain. But it's Florida. They're always going to have a chance. Let's jump back to the phone lines here.
Call from. To accept, press 1.
Not even going to entertain it. If you can't say your name, I'm not taking your call. If you don't even have the courage to say your name on a call, then I'm not going to take your name. So I will say this too, John Edward, my guy. I want to give some feedback to my guy, John Edward. John Edward, you got a very short fuse, my man, and you're very combative, and you're very, wanting to go. And John Edward, you ask for smoke in comments. You ask for smoke on Twitter. You ask for smoke across the board. I love you, John Edward. I'm trying to help you. You don't have to. You don't have to have such a short fuse with everything. You don't have to get upset over all these comments and stuff like that. Like, it's okay, John Edward. It's not that serious. I promise, my guy. You'd be a lot happier if you don't take it so serious. All right, let's jump back to the phone lines.
Call from.
Peyton Smith.
Peyton, what's up?
Chris, what's going on?
Just hanging out, man. What's up?
So I just wanted to talk a little bit about Gamecocks football for a second. I don't think a lot of people realize exactly how close we were to being an 11-win team last year. I don't think there's a single game other than Georgia that we were really ever out of. And we were in position to win a lot more games than we did. Mm-hmm. So, like the Arkansas game, for instance, it was just very, very frustrating going down the stretch. And we just couldn't seem to make the plays necessary to walk out of there with a win. But we were right there. So that's one game. And then, of course, the Missouri game was just a shit show. Mm-hmm. So, what do you think? Do you think we were close to?
I mean, we lost 3 of 4. Yeah, 3 of our 4 regular season losses were to 6-6 teams. So, I mean, you kind of feel like maybe you left something out there. I don't know that Arkansas was. I don't know. It wasn't. It was. They ran away with it. You couldn't stop the run, but I think that's looking at the bright side very much so. But, you could have won more than you did, for sure. I mean, you were very close if it would have clicked offensively early in the season.
100%. But I just wanted to call and get your take on that. I won't take up too much more of your time. I appreciate the answer. And I'll definitely be sure to call in more in the future. I love the show. Been a fan for a while. And go Cox, and thanks, Spurs Up show. Bye-bye.
Peyton, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for the call. Great stuff. And it's just really unfortunate that I have to be like on edge when new people call into the show because honestly, guys, you just never know who it is. But no, Peyton, I appreciate that call, my man. And to your point, listen, South Carolina lost 3 of 4 regular season games to teams that went 6-6. So, I mean, you feel like Mizzou, you let slip. You feel like Florida, you obviously let slip. Arkansas was a game that I think because of your porous run defense, I don't know that you really ever had a real shot to win that one. And then Georgia was just a bloodbath. But, I mean, you think about if the offense would have clicked sooner. I mean, I think you definitely beat Missouri. If you have an offense that's even competent, I think you would have beat Missouri last year, right? And Florida may have gone completely differently. So you at least left another win out there. There's no question. You at least left another win out there. So, Peyton, I appreciate the call, and that's great perspective. And, we'll see if South Carolina can maybe pick up a couple of those dubs they did not get a season ago. But, yeah, anyways. Let's jump to the phone lines here.
Call from.
Aaron.
Aaron, what's up, my man? Been a while. How are you?
Man, I'm listening to you. I just don't call every day. I'm doing my thing. I got fucking 6 minutes. Freaking 6 minutes before I have to be in the shower and get ready for work. But yeah, man, I'm always I always got to go positive and negative. Think about the games that South Carolina won that could have went the other way. It was always like that. I remember when that Chris Kosh, You remember the Chris Kosh dude was the defensive coordinator, and I heard him on, this is long ago, I heard him on Teddy's show, and I'm like, yeah, y'all were close in a lot of games, but what about the games you won that were close?
Yeah.
Like that Florida game was out of it, and I was at that. I was sitting in the stands at that game. That thing was over with by halftime. Arkansas was over with. Now I'm thinking about the future of South Carolina. Like right now, they have a bomb quarterback room on paper, right? And they did what they did last year with Spencer Rattler. I don't think he played up to his full potential. I thought getting him from Oklahoma was a big balls move. And the end of the year was great, but he was disappointing. He was disappointing up until then. He needed a breakout. I'm still leery on the running game, the offensive line, the defensive line, and the defensive backs coming into this year. South Carolina's going to have to score a crap ton of points to beat most teams this up and coming year. And can you get the ball rolling straight out of the bat with the new offensive coordinator? So those are the questions I have just looking at the season going into it, because that defensive line, I only think that maybe they're better than Vanderbilt, but other than that, yeah, that defensive line, that offensive line. Now they got young offensive linemen. I think this will be the year to get the young offensive linemen some time and get them some reps, because next year and the year after that offensive line should be a freaking monster with the dudes they got coming in. And running back, I don't know what's going to happen there. And I think the problems came when Spencer Rattler became more one-dimensional and really had to make tough decisions. So are they going to go more air raid, where he has lots of check down throws and just using the passing game as more of a running game? I mean, I don't know. Those are the things that would bother me if I'm looking at this up and coming season. Offensive line, defensive line, running back, defensive back. I mean, you can't lose your best defensive lineman. You can't lose your best cornerback. Even though there's some young talent at linebacker, there's still that Stone Blanton kid. The one who is this the second torn ACL or not second torn ACL? He came in Kaba.
Kaba. Yes.
Is he going to improve this year?
Yeah.
Is that a second ACL, or is he just still recovering?
No, I think it was Sherrod Green that had dealt with multiple. I think this is just the one. So this is just the one ACL.
The offensive line would really scare me, because South Carolina came into the year with like four big time, well, not big time, experienced offensive linemen. And now you're coming back with hardly any and less talented. That would scare me with a guy who's shaky about his decision making. Would you agree that Spencer Rattler's decision making, I would say at times, is shaky? I'd say his decision making is shaky more than it's not. I mean, it may not vary in a wide range, but like sometimes, like there's some games where you look at it and you're like, damn, he made that, he threw that. But then again, I'm not behind the line watching 270-pound guys chase after me either. So I'm all freaking taught myself.
Well, Aaron, I was going to say, to your point, man, I mean, I think Spencer Rattler does have like those characteristic traits of a Brett Favre, where he just, I think Rattler gets in positions at times where he trusts his ability and his arm maybe a little bit too much. And, I talked to Brad Lowing about this when I interviewed him, that we had our conversation a couple weeks ago, and he was just saying that, as a defensive coordinator or a defensive coach, like you look forward to trying to take advantage of those guys, because you're going to get opportunities as a defense to make plays, right? You're going to get opportunities. So, Rattler's a guy I think you just got to kind of live with the good and bad. I mean, the Clemson game last year is a perfect example, right? Spencer Rattler was brilliant at times in that game. he was also downright awful at times. At times, people forget that, right? But I mean, what about the red zone interception? I mean, that would be the talking point, not his play had Carolina lost that game.
If they lost that game,
if they had lost the game,
like I said, he's a monster. In my opinion, he's the best quarterback to ever. Like, he's the most talented quarterback to ever play at South Carolina. That's in my opinion. I can't think of anyone who was better than him talent wise. But my gosh, his decision making is troubling. I wouldn't say all the time, but a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. And how is that going to play out if the line doesn't hold for him? And he has no running game to take a couple reps off every now and again. Mm-hmm. I mean, I want to see it. This is Shane Beamer. He proved his coaching chops last year because they were dead in the freaking water after that Florida game, and he had to make changes, and he pushed the right button and got it done. But up until that point, his coaching ability wasn't questioned. It ain't no doubt about it. Now he's a freaking monster, and he might be the one to get South Carolina going in the right direction. Mm-hmm. Now it's just can he build off the momentum of last season? Mm-hmm.
Well, to your point, Aaron, I'll say this. You bring up a lot of great points, Aaron, and I want to say this too. I can't chat with you without mentioning to people that you were the one that came up to me in pregame with the Tennessee game and told me, hey, it'd be a very South Carolina thing for them to go out and win this game tonight. And I think you may have even picked the W, and sure enough, you were spot on. So
listen, I've been watching South Carolina football. I grew up less than a mile away from the stadium, graduated from Dreher High School. Listen. I've been scalping tickets and watching South Carolina football my entire life. That was not out of the ordinary. Mm-hmm. That is not, what happened at Tennessee was not out of the ordinary. Hey, man, I got to get in the shower, man. I'm going to holler.
Aaron, sounds good, man. I appreciate you. Take care.
In a minute, man.
Aaron, what a legend Aaron is, bro. What a legend Aaron is. I love that. All right, guys, let's jump into one final break. On the side, we'll close out the show in style, taking more of your questions, comments, calls, and more. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. Attention all Gamecocks seafood lovers. Are you tired of searching for the freshest seafood in town? Look no further than the Carolina Fish Market, your go-to destination for the finest and most flavorful seafood in the Carolinas and beyond. Introducing the new Carolina Seafood Subscription Box, a culinary delight delivered right to your doorstep. Each month, you'll receive a carefully curated selection of fresh local seafood sourced directly from the waters of the Carolinas and beyond. From succulent shrimp to mouth-watering grouper to flounder or tuna and everything in between, their subscription box brings the ocean's bounty straight to your Gamecock kitchen. What sets the Carolina Fish Market apart is their commitment to quality and sustainability. They work closely with local fishermen and women who use responsible fishing practices, ensuring that every bite you take supports both your taste buds and our precious marine ecosystems. They've even won Best Seafood 5 out of the last 8 years. But that's not all. They're offering free shipping to all TSUS listeners on every Carolina Seafood subscription box, making it even easier for you to indulge in the flavors of the coast. Experience the convenience and joy of having fresh seafood delivered right to your door without any of the hassle. Don't miss on this incredible opportunity to elevate your culinary adventures with the Carolina Fish Market's Carolina Seafood Subscription Box. Join the seafood enthusiasts across the nation who are savoring the taste of the Carolinas, one delectable bite at a time, and just in time for Father's Day. Visit their website today at carolinafishmarket.com. That's carolinafishmarket.com, and embark on a seafood journey like no other. Freshness, flavor, and convenience await you. Order your Carolina Seafood subscription box now and use the promo code SPURSUP, that's SPURSUP, for $10 off your first purchase. Again, that's promo code SPURSUP, SPRSUP for $10 off your first purchase. The Carolina Fish Market, where taste meets the ocean.
Muscle Dougie, ho.
All right, guys, we're back. Thursday, June the 8th, final 8 minutes or so here in the Daily Crow, taking your questions, your comments, your calls, 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377. Again, appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in here on this Thursday as we get ready for a big weekend in Gainesville, Gamecocks and Gators. And, of course, guys, in case you missed it, we will be at Carolina Ale House all weekend long. And Carolina Ale House is your place to watch the Super Regionals. If you want to come watch with yours truly, we'll be at Carolina Ale House, Woodruff Road in Greenville, South Carolina, tomorrow at 6, Saturday at 3, and then, of course, Sunday, if necessary, which hopefully it's not because South Carolina takes this series in a perfect 2-0 sweep. But come out, hang with us. We'll have towels and koozies for sale. We'll also have koozies to give away. We will have gift cards we'll be giving away in a contest, if you will, for those who are in attendance. So, going to be a lot of fun at Carolina Ale House. Be sure to check it out, guys. Appreciate you all that come out. We always have a great crowd and turnouts in Greenville, South Carolina, in the upstate. So, again, thank you all so much for the continued love and support in that regard. So, let's see. John Everett says, thanks for the advice, Chris. John, I'm just trying to help you, man. I'm just trying to help you. Dude, listen, you're let me just put it to you this way, John Edward, and I know it's tough, and I'm speaking from a much different perspective than you, John Edward, because I do this for a living, and I'm going on, my 6th year doing it. So I've learned over the years how to operate on social media and the tactics that work best. And John Edward, there is no going back and forth and reasoning with trolls. There is none of it, John Edward. John Edward, trolls are fueled by your response. The only way to stop a troll is to pretend they don't exist and not respond. And why would you have open-ended, or why would you have any sort of conversation with somebody from that level of thinking? Like, what do you expect to get out of that conversation? What do you expect John Edward to get out of that exchange? Like, why would you go down to that level and have that combo? You wouldn't. There's no point. You're gaining nothing. Nothing positive is coming from it. So John Edward, just mind your own, keep a cool head, don't engage in the slapdickery, and you'll be much, much happier, I think, and have a much more peaceful existence on a day in, day out basis. Just my 2 cents. Anyways, guys, 843-790-3377. Travis says if Spencer can have a Shaw-type decision-making ability, watch out. I mean, Travis, if that would be – I mean, basically, if you're telling me if he throws one pick this year, yeah, Carolina's going to have a great season. But I don't think, Travis, I don't think that is Spencer Rattler. I don't think that's what makes Spencer Rattler great. It is his sort of gunslinger mentality. And, it is that gunslinger mentality, but it can also get you in trouble. But you kind of live with the good and the bad, if you will. You take some of that bad to get a lot of that good you get with Spencer Rattler. Travis says, man, one positive, the different platforms the show aired on was less dipshits, no doubt. Well, Travis, I think the big reason is this, because if you were somebody on Facebook, there really weren't any Facebook trolls. It's all YouTube. So, I apologize for that, Travis. I mean, it's why we have a moderator now in place. So, I mean, it's one of those things where, like, it doesn't bother me. The comments don't bother me. I actually kind of think it's funny at times, but it bothers the people that tune in the show and just want to talk Gamecocks and talk sports and not have just complete nonsense flood the chat. So I do apologize to you guys. I hate it. I hate how thick of skin people have to be a fan of TSUS. I hate how thick of skin people have to be a guest on TSUS. I hate how thick of skin people have to have me on their show. That is the thing I hate the most. I don't care about the shots on social media. I don't give a single damn, because I know me and I know myself and I know what I stand for and I know my character and everything else. So none of the nonsense and the witch hunt on social media bothers me to any degree. I feel more badly for the people who support my show, love me as a person, my family, my friends, those very close to me. I feel for them that they have to deal with it. And it's why I've said before, guys, I would be lying to you if I told you it's not one of the reasons why I have not gone to games quite as much, or like any of the baseball games, which I planned on going to a few games this season. Unfortunately, some things changed and happened and was not able to get down there. But, I have people in my life that would go with me that I don't want to subject to the nonsense. I just don't. And I don't think that's an unfair and unreasonable thing. And I know it's not. I don't need anybody's justification on it, because I'm one of one and unique and living this life that nobody else is living. So I will just say that, it's just unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but it's just the reality, man. It's the nature of the beast. And I appreciate you guys understanding that the slapdickery doesn't even remotely define us. It's just kind of a funny part of what we do. Let's jump to the phone lines here.
Call from
John Edward.
John Edward, what's up, man? How are you?
Good. I didn't want to call in. We couldn't really talk. Like I am saying, I'm looking forward to the weekend. But I know I said something in the comment section, dude. Thanks for the advice, and someone that you've been doing this a while. I appreciate your advice. I really mean that.
John Edward, I appreciate you, my guy. I'm just looking out for you, man. Just trying to make social media
and everything else
it's just a more enjoyable place. Yeah. A more enjoyable place.
Yeah, definitely. It's just, I don't know, even as a 27-year-old guy, you get older, you're still learning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure, man. For sure. No, listen, it's not human nature to operate on social media on a day in, day out basis and see negative things about yourself and not be affected by it. But it's kind of what you have to do. It's just, that's how you got to operate, man.
Yeah. And that's why I haven't, I really know the players hopping in, Twitter space, because it's all a bunch of BS. And I think, I've learned not to. I'm like, if I don't follow them, I'm probably not going to hop in or anything. But, I'll just, look at the content, and unless it's you or somebody else that, tunes into this show, I'm not going to respond. What's the point?
There is none, my guy. There is none.
No, yeah. And, I know I sent the comments out a couple minutes, but like I said, I think I've got us winning it, but it's going off. I think it's going all 3 days.
I love that. Hey, We'll see, man. It's going to be an interesting series.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I'm excited for it, man. Again, it's best on best, exactly as it should be, and I think it's going to be a great weekend for baseball.
No, yeah, and even the last time, I don't even remember the last time. You probably tell me real quick. When was the last time we were in a position to go to Omaha?
The last time we were in a Super was 2018. The last time we won a Super was 2012. So it's been a while since we've actually
2012.
won.
Definitely. So 2012 we won. You said went to Omaha. Was that Christian Walker's last year?
That was, yes, Christian Walker's last year, yes.
The third year against Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah, which is like crazy to think about. He's having success at the big league level, but it's crazy. I don't know if you ever see that again. A guy spends 3 years of school, goes to Omaha every year.
Indeed.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, I know you ready to end the show, but thanks for taking the call, and I appreciate your advice anytime.
John Everett, I appreciate you, man. Always a pleasure to hear from you.
All right, see you, bro.
Yeah, man. Take care. Great stuff from John Everett. Guys, that's going to do it. Hey, we have hit 3 o'clock. By the way, Florida has announced their weekend rotation. Let's see. Florida has announced their weekend rotation. It will be, it looks like our guy in all kinds of weather has said Brandon Sproat will go tomorrow. But it looks like Sports Talk is saying Hurston Waldrop will be the starting pitcher. So I don't know. I thought that, yeah. Sports Talk is saying Hurston Waldrop will start game 1 against the Gamecocks. So that means Brandon Sproat goes game 2. So we'll see. Again, they're going to drop this. This will all probably be the next hour or so. We will get more information on who will be going for both the Gamecocks and the Gators all weekend long. Guys, that's going to do it all for me. Appreciate you all tuning in. Thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your Thursday, and we will talk to you all tomorrow.